I'm giving it time, I'm giving it faith, I'm giving it more than I ever did take. I'm willing to run low, I'm willing to wait, no matter the price, I'm willing to pay, no turning around, we'll never give that. Un día siempre me suetuhe man hahanaw para itasi. Un día siempre me suetuhe man hahanaw para itasi.
Go sinja uli, go sinja uli, die sombran saltan mak, et zu ita saluda, antes diu hum niga. Radzaudz un malak estrezas durante todo em memu a nogi distância como gupugi palu zaniman malak guafi Ikonum nasugi airi prebatu la noci nai banderata gaigi pues atan fanni bandera kau Esta pagua pumalapa Gilo tanu man libri Sentanu iti man ko badi
Fanogi chamoru politanota kantai matuno nyagi toru iluga Parai gloria a big is less in Parai gloria a big
all the islanders, and everybody that loves us. This is from me to you and you to me. One love, one big family. Check it out. Let's do this. Tropical sunshine shining on my head.
Good morning, Guam. Good morning, Jason Solis.
Good morning. Nah, you wrapped up real quick on that one.
Yeah.
Short and sweet.
I just want to get in here and get this show started. Just really want to get to work, guys. It's Tuesday, 23rd day of February. This is The Link. Good morning. My name is Chris. Joe, sir, with the sunrise cam.
Well, that's a beautiful sun. Okay. I didn't think it was going to be that bright this early, but man, it looks like afternoon out there already.
Pretty nice. Very beautiful.
Yeah.
A lot of contrast on the clouds, right? No? Oh.
And of course, it's a
Beautiful.
little darker if you turn northward. I mean, if you look down towards, Tumon, the airport, Tamuning, and everything like that, gorgeous morning already. And on that note,
Right.
we've also got a lot of members of Link family, our Link family.
Link fam!
Sending, we appreciate it. You guys, everybody from Texas, letting us know you're okay. Angelica Owen Laniog saying our family is doing okay after 2 snow flurries. She is in Universal City. Joaquin Barcinas, Hafadekian. Good morning from Texas also. The weather is beautiful. God is good. Killeen, Texas, no more snow and ice. Also, Annie Bonds is in Killeen. We're going to get all of you guys once things kind of like stabilize and, once everybody gets food, gets water out there in Texas and everything, we'll have a bunch of our Link fam come in. We would love to have you guys on Zoom. Share your experience with us.
Right on. It's 6:29. Yeah, good morning to our
Glad you guys are
Facebook
okay.
Live viewers. Air and all of our Link fam out there. Joe, sir, we're on KUM TV this morning.
Yes, sir.
Yes, we are. Of course. Duh. Good morning to our KUM TV fam. Good morning on you. Let's drink our coffee together. We'll talk this morning on the Link. A lot to talk about. We're getting some of your legislators on this morning. Your duly elected legislators. We'll start off with Senator Clint Regell. We're getting former Governor Carl Gutierrez, right? Still the one guy. GVB president and his deputy Jerry Perez. April 1st reopening. No April Fools. So we'll talk with them. Ray Tapasnia Gora, we're going to catch up on this mortgage and rent relief. As the governor has allowed for, I think, commercial evictions, and then on the residential side, they're allowing for evictions that are not related to late rent. So I think that means if you're blasting your music or, you know what I mean, you could get kicked out.
Traditional evictions.
Yeah, right. The regular.
You're jamming Xbox at like 3 in the morning.
You're a
and the
crappy
neighbors are
tenant. You're out. So what I'm curious is how many landlords, because people are talking about, everyone needs to recover. But I wonder how many landlords are going to be like, you know what, you're late on your rent, but you're also a very annoying tenant. You're out of here. So we'll see. We'll talk because they've got all this federal funding for the mortgage and rent relief assistance. So we'll find out where we are on that. We're also getting Mark Scott of the Guam Guard, as there was an advisory that was sent out yesterday, Jay. This was an advisory on a dose shortage for the COVID-19 vaccine, so we'll get the official word from him coming up. Also, we'll catch up with Chelsea Munia. We had the whole Department of Ag on yesterday. I feel like it's Department of Ag week.
That was actually really, really cool.
That was
What
so
they
neat.
were doing down in Molesso,
Yeah.
I mean, the entire crew was down there, and you immediately said, like, they were like, and Jane at the very end said, wait, I want to show you guys, like, this beautiful shot, and she went all the way out to, was it the pier, or they had, like, that kind of, like, lanai set up?
Right.
I was like, man, what a way
That
to
was
start your
nice.
morning.
Wow. And you can't even, I didn't know that was there because it's behind, I think it's behind Tamogi Mart. Yeah, so they're doing this thing in Cocos Island, guys. The brown tree snake is loose on Cocos Island. And there's cocoa birds and other native bird species. And I think there's also an endemic skink that's up at Cocos Island. So they did this whole outreach yesterday to encourage everybody who's sailing out from Molesso or from anywhere and going to Cocos Island, or even just in the area to do biosecurity check. That's just a fancy way of saying check your area, right? Make sure there's not a snake under the tarp in the boat. Because you know them snakes, they like to hide.
I got a question.
Yes.
I don't know much about zoology.
Okay. Neither do I, by the way.
When a snake gives birth, right? How many?
Are there any zoologists out in the feed?
Yeah,
Get
hey,
ready.
Any zoologists in our link fam, let us
When
know.
a
Okay,
snake gives
when
birth,
a snake gives birth,
how many babies?
How many? What's the? Do you even say litter or what's the yield?
The yield.
Yeah, like how many snakes does a typical snake give birth to? Because snakes give birth to eggs,
Yeah.
right? Yeah, I mean, so it can't be that many. I mean, what, a dozen maybe?
Well, some snakes lay 10 to 30.
Really?
Well, it was just a quick Google, Jay.
Okay,
Don't
so-
quote me on it, all right?
So point being, if a snake,
Is on Coco's.
yeah, and it is pregnant and then gives birth,
Let's
that's-
just say the snakes on Coco's had a good Valentine's Day.
And Coco's Island is what? Is it even a mile long?
Yeah, something like that.
If even that, right? Yeah.
If even there.
When was the last time you went to Coco's Island?
My grandpa used to work on Coco's Island.
Really?
Man, because I grew up a lot in Melissa, so my grandpa was like the head of security on Coco's Island, and if we were good, every once in a while he would take us out.
On
As
the
long
glass-
as we
on
didn't
the
ask
glass
for,
bottom boat?
they had the glass bottom boat
Oh,
back
that
then.
was the best.
Yeah, but my grandpa would take some of us to work with him on Coco's Island, but it was like we couldn't ask for anything. That was always the rule when we go somewhere. Like, you better not ask for anything. Don't embarrass me in the store and
If
and
they-
ask for something.
If they try and sell you shirts, no.
No, you see, no. Answer's always no.
If they try and give you like one of those I Heart Guam flags, then
Right. Yeah. So we used to go up to Coco's Island. I was up there a couple years. I don't know. I forget.
Okay, I have a interesting factoid. You know our friend Tom Akigami, who came on during the Super Bowl
Yes.
show and did the barbecue?
Mhm.
His dad actually ran the glass bottom boat operation for many, many years. That was his business. That
Yeah.
was Tom's dad.
Wow, the glass bottom boat.
Yeah, he
that
told
was
me
really
that one
cool.
time. I interviewed him, and I was like, "Oh, really? That's cool."
You ever wonder like why don't they have that anymore?
We used to. I mean, the glass bottom boat for a while. There were 2 field trips when you were in school.
Right.
That were the best. You would head
Yep.
down to Molesso and you would do the glass bottom boat out to Coco's Island. And if
Mhm.
you're a kid, you just look down, and if you have no
Awesome.
idea what we're talking about, glass bottom boat, because it had this piece of, literally like a tempered piece of glass, and you just look down and you see all the marine life, and it was super,
Yeah.
super cool. And the boat went slow, so you could see everything: the coral, the octopus, the sharks, if you were lucky. And then if you would go to you would go to Lansan Antigo,
Right.
the old cultural center in Inarahan. This was at the top of the hill before they made Gifpago, the new cultural center. Lansan Antigo, you ride the carabao, you made coconut candy.
Yep.
There was an old man who would tell you like the stories. You would see
They would
people.
do salt, and then there was like a Balimbao Tuzan player.
Yep.
Yeah, it was the olden
people
days.
People working the kumzu all day.
Right.
and
They're
everything.
working at Kumzu.
Those 2 field trips, you
Grind
look
it.
forward to. Oh, you know what also was a badass field trip was on Charter Day for UOG, when they would like take us up there,
Right.
and you see like the students would make like the big guts. And the only reason I bring that up,
It's because Charter Day's coming up.
Charter Day's coming up, and we at KUM are doing a special series with UOG, and I've been producing that. And
That's great.
I did a bunch of interviews with some of the faculty up there, some of the deans of the colleges,
Mm-hmm.
and man, it's the stories they can tell, and like just a wonderful legacy they're leaving behind and everything like that. It's going to be really, really good.
Remember when Charter Day was like they would have Blue Night, and there was all this controversy about. Remember that? A long time ago.
Wet
Now,
t-shirt contest.
now it
and-
seems like, oh my God, what were they thinking?
yeah.
But they did crazy things back in the day, kids. Brace
Okay.
yourself.
There were 3 things you wanted to see if you went to Charter Day, right? If you were a little kid, yeah, you couldn't go to Blue Light, you couldn't see the wet t-shirt contest because that was at the nighttime thing. But you would go there, and each of the student groups over at UOG from the various cultural clubs and whatnot,
They would do performances.
yeah, they would do performances and they would teach you about their culture, but they would also build. I mean, you didn't have like these little kiosks or anything like that. You would actually have to build a hut, and some of these cultural groups would build like a 3-story hut.
Right.
I mean, the Chamorro Club would always go like all out. It's super, super awesome. But then you could go to the science building, and if you check out the astronomy exhibit, remember like that, you like just sit up and look, and they tell you about all the
You
constellations.
mean the
That was
planetarium? They
best.
had a planetarium.
Yeah, the planetarium.
All right.
Not to be confused with a Metallica song. That's sanitarium.
Are we done here, or you want anything else, guys?
Stroll down memory lane.
There you go. That's how we always
Glass
start.
bottom boats in the planetarium, baby.
Right.
That's what it's all about.
That's what Molesso. I mean, it's still popping, but Molesso back then they had the Fiesta and Tossi, which was like the boat races
Oh yeah.
and jet skis, and people would go down there and ride the glass bottom boat. So that was fun. It's fun to go down to Molesso virtually yesterday morning. 6:37. The show is brought to you by Carrier, Cavo Enterprises, and IT&E. On this Tuesday, February 23rd edition of the show. Also, something we'll be talking about coming up here. as bars get ready to reopen tomorrow, there was something that I think a lot of media got a hold of was that the governor and lieutenant governor are having a $500. Sorry, I'm just trying to how are you going to ask people for $500 out here? But you know who has $500, Joe, sir? The people who have been getting the COVID contracts. That's who's got $500.
Well, we got a picture of that.
We do. We're going to talk about when.
And
Rick
I think it
comes
was
in.
it Dr. Shea who put it on Facebook, and he was even asking his followers. He's like, "Hey guys, is this real?"
Yeah, it is. It is real.
It is real.
It's
Wow.
real. That was a stupid move, really. I mean, you couldn't wait a couple weeks to have a fundraiser. I mean, really, it's God. What are you guys thinking? You know what they need? They need the guy up there that, like me, the guy who's like, "What are you guys thinking? Hey, come on, man!" Like Biden. See Biden? No. Remember when Biden said, "Come on, man"? That's what I said when I read that. I was like, "Are you serious, Ludus? You're gonna have a $500 a plate fundraiser?"
Okay, can I play contrarian? for
Yes,
just a
please
moment?
do. Go ahead, Jay.
You obviously have some very strong opinions about this, right?
I mean, it is what it is.
What if you got a WhatsApp message right now that said, "Chris, we would like you to MC our event"?
No, that's what I'm saying. Is we couldn't get the governor on this show to save our life. So now I'm thinking, let's start a GoFundMe. We'll just come up with a $500. We'll give it to Lou and Josh, and then maybe we could get some time with them on the link. Right? I'm saying if that's what we got to do to get an audience with our governor and lieutenant governor, then guys, let's start. I'll put in the first $5. I don't even know how to set up a GoFundMe, but I just had to laugh when I saw that. But then again, it's also like,
I've got $7
What are you doing?
30.
Jay got 7 on it.
I got 738.
Okay, well, we'll make our way there.
Joser's got his American Express Platinum card.
Right. You got the black card?
He's got the black, yeah.
The Amex?
Joe can buy a Tesla, and they wouldn't even do a credit check at this point.
I mean, I was just, I couldn't believe it really when it came. Because, we just went into Pecor 3, then the bars are opening, and...
But that is true. That is legitimate. That is happening.
Yeah.
Okay.
And so there was also something with it, the way it is, it's because of the Pecor 3 restrictions, if there are even any, they can only entertain 23 people in 30-minute blocks for, I think there's 4 or 5 different blocks. So you just do the math. But I'll tell you how these fundraisers really work, guys. Just having been around and, and hosting all kinds of fundraisers myself, is usually it starts where they have the money already. And this is how all the politicians, Republican, Democrat, whatever, this is how they do it. They have the money already. Someone's like, "Hey, thanks for that." For example, they'll be like, "Hey, thanks for all those quarantine contracts. Here's $30,000 for your election." And they're like, "Oh my God, what are we gonna do with this $30,000? You can't because it's against the law for someone to donate $30,000. So what they do is they're like, "Hey," they print all these tickets and then they give their whole cabinet all these tickets that say $500 each, and then they say, "Okay, can you just say you donated $500?" And like, yeah, because I mean, really, who's gonna donate $500, dude? I mean, the only people who can afford to donate $500 are the people who are working for the government of Guam. This is kind of funny. In the cabinet, those are the guys that can afford the $500. Joseph, you got $500 to give the governor? Dale. Them are the people on poo out here, and you asking for $500? Leche.
Well, Rosemary Laguatnia is joining us in our comments, and she says, "Not worth it, Chris."
Yeah, I mean, and God, I hate to say it, but it is what it is. I mean, they are running for re-election, and I don't know. It almost seems like, hey, we're in Pecor 3 now. Give us money. You're welcome. Give us money. So we'll talk about that coming up here. 6:41, Tuesday, February 23rd. We'll get into the show now with Jason Salas. Sabrina Salas-Mantonani coming in at 8 because Joe Nogan-Charfers is on leave. And so Jason with the very latest from the KUAM News team. Good morning, Jason.
Good morning, Chris. Good morning, Link family, and good morning, Guam. Here are your KUAM News morning updates. The Joint Information Center reported last night that 7 new COVID-19 cases have been confirmed out of 907 tests performed Sunday. To date, there have been a total of 7,727 officially reported cases of coronavirus since last March, with 130 deaths, 53 cases currently active, and more than 7,500 of your fellow Guamanians have recovered. In all, more than 47,600 people have been vaccinated on Guam. About 30,000 have received their first dose, with more than 17,000 getting the second dose as well. Currently, 5 people are in the hospital for coronavirus, with a pair in the intensive care unit and as many 2 people on ventilators. Guam's CAR score is now up to 0.2. Public Health, on that note, issued a guidance memo to advise the public of restrictions and allowances for public and private operations in accordance with the latest executive order during Pandemic Condition of Readiness 3. Chris and Sabrina and Joser and I went over that exhaustively yesterday. You can find that also, if you would like to review it, on dphss.guam.gov. Once again, the latest public guidance about the restrictions, what's affected, what is open, what will be opening. That's a public health website. Once again, DPHSS, Department of Public Health and Social Services.guam.gov. Some very sad news this morning as the Guam Fire Department is looking into the cause of a house fire that occurred just before 8 p.m. Monday right up the street from us in Dededo. According to GFD, residents were not home at that time. The house is on Isengsong Road across from Swamp Road. The house was a wooden tin structure that was fully engulfed in flames when firefighters from the nearby Ostumbo fire station arrived and tended to it. Guam native and Santa Clara County, California judge. In other news, Johnny Gogo is being recommended by Governor Lulian Guerrero to be the next U.S. attorney for Guam. Gogo previously served as deputy district attorney for Santa Clara for more than 2 decades, prosecuting major narcotics and methamphetamine cases. Prior to moving stateside, Gogo was an assistant AG for Guam and worked for Calvin Clark. Earlier this month, the Biden administration called for the courtesy resignation of all U.S. attorneys. Governor Leon Guerrero sent her recommendation of Judge Gogo to President Biden last week. And standing by now with more local news headlines that you need to know from the KUM Newsroom is our Peter Santos.
Hafide, I'm Peter Santos. Here's a look at more of the headlines we're covering. With Guam and PCOR 3, bar owners have the governor's blessing to reopen on Wednesday, and after being closed for almost a year, they're preparing for happy hour.
We took a trip down to the island's capital to see how things are going at the venue, as bars are set to reopen on Wednesday, exactly 200 days since the second lockdown. Owner of the venue, Phil Roberto.
You know, a lot of our customers have been messaging us on social media, WhatsApp, whatnot, just excited about the whole opportunity to get back out there. So I'm really humbled by the fact that they've been reaching out to us and are excited to come back. We just got the guidance document today from Public Health about how we need to operate. So we're going to go through that and check it against our previous operation plan. The issue of customers wearing the mask at all times is kind of going to be the challenge for us. We're not the mask police. We're here to, provide entertainment, a good social atmosphere and whatnot. So our challenge is going to be having our customers cooperate with us and, considering the safety of everybody else.
The governor's latest executive order gives bar owners the go-ahead to operate, but not without some pretty interesting restrictions, to include all live entertainment performers maintaining a 6-foot distance from each other, the installation of a physical barrier from the crowd, as well as requiring customers to refrain from cheering or singing along. So if you were hoping for live music on opening night, Roberto says that might not be the case for the venue.
The issue with bands is definitely going to be a challenge for us. Our space, stage as well. It's not very big, and accommodating a full band is usually 4 to 5 people. In terms of the guidelines, we probably couldn't comply. So initially, until there's some change in the guidance, we're probably not going to have a full band entertainment.
Down in Tumon, owner of Lifehouse Thomas Pinehoff wants patrons to know that they're doing all they can to ensure customers have a safe experience.
It's going to be clean, it's going to be sterile, it's going to be disinfected. We care for our place, it's our livelihood. We have people that work here, with people that support their families out of this room and out of this space. So, we want to make sure that people are confident and comfortable to be in here, be with us, and have a good time.
After spending most of last year unable to open, Pinehoff says prepping the bar to welcome patrons brought up some feelings.
It's been emotional. Actually, it's been a real roller coaster the last year. Not knowing if we can continue or when we can continue. So I ask everybody, please be confident, be strong, be firm, be Guam, come out, support local. That's what it is about. We're all local, so please come out.
Both Roberto and Pinehoff add that the 50% capacity limit will not be met at their establishments in efforts to allow for social distancing.
The local judiciary cancels their one-on-one meeting with Speaker Therese Terlahi in order to prepare for the oversight hearing, which is set for March 3rd at 2 p.m. According to Speaker Terlahi, she has asked the judiciary to report on whether internal processes have been improved to ensure warrants are being correctly prioritized, to review all past warrants for federal drug offender Mark Mayo, and review involvement of any other person associated with the court that was named in the FBI investigation. As we reported, allegations of public corruption amongst local law enforcement agencies, to include the judiciary, resurfaced this month in district court during an FBI case witness testimony. Terlahi says, in addition, they have asked for the Attorney General to confirm whether an investigation is being done surrounding allegations of misconduct. A notice from the Guam legislature of the oversight hearing will be sent out this week. Senator Amanda Shelton, who has oversight over the Guam International Airport Authority, confirms she has received a briefing from airport management but is declining at this time to provide the details of that briefing because of the active investigation that is underway. Here's the latest on airport police officers accused of gambling online and on duty.
As we reported, an airport police officer was terminated after admitting to gambling online while on duty. In an adverse action filed with the Civil Service Commission, Jericho Santos admitted that he was turned on to a gambling app from a GPD officer. He admitted that he started his own gambling group with almost 250 people or agents to include other airport officers, Guam firefighters, National Guard members, Superior Court marshals, Guam police officers, and other members from the business community, as well as people from off-island. Santos admitted that he and his agents made an estimated $120,000 or more in cash collectively, and that he would receive $5,000 to $7,000. GIAA Executive Manager John Kanata has previously told KUAM that due to the ongoing investigation and because it's a personnel matter, he cannot comment on the issue at this time. The only information he could provide today is confirmation that adverse action has been taken against more than one GIAA employee. Senator Joanne Brown was the lawmaker who received the initial tip about airport police officers gambling on the job and forwarded it to Oversight Chair Senator Amanda Shelton.
But this whole issue, they're classified, they're untouchable. What is that? I mean, we all earn a salary, we all go to work. I think we should have a more transparent government collectively from the top to the bottom. And if some players out there aren't doing what they're supposed to be doing, I don't think they should be shielded behind, it's a personnel. Who the heck is paying their salary? Why should that be private?
Senator Shelton, in a comment to KUAM, confirmed she was briefed by GIAA management about the investigation and is aware of the extent that documents detail hundreds of other online gamblers and other GovGuam agencies. Senator Shelton saying she is disappointed by what has been reported, but is also heartened to receive assurance from the GIAA leadership that all appropriate actions they have the power to take have been and will be taken as this matter moves forward. She states that because this is an ongoing matter, the committee, along with the rest of the public, will continue to let the designated authorities do their work unimpeded. However, given the committee's oversight responsibility, I can assure you we will thoroughly review what happened, the investigation that followed, and the outcome. Senator Tello Taitagui is a member of the committee, but says she hasn't received any information about the GIAA investigation from her colleague.
Now I'm hoping that these oversight chairs start having these these chairs of these the oversight of these agencies start having these oversight, because what information is provided to her, she doesn't necessarily give to us. We could have that opportunity to ask those questions, especially if it's not availed to us. So I'm hoping that she does have a oversight chair, an oversight hearing.
According to Senator Shelton, legislative oversight and policy recommendations for moving forward will come at the appropriate time. Quote, the middle of an ongoing investigation is not the appropriate time and will allow the process to take its course. As for former GIAA police officer Santos, he has appealed his termination. He is scheduled to appear before the Civil Service Commission this Friday for a status call conference.
For more news, go to KUAM.com. Back to you in the Link studio.
All right, thanks so much, Pete. Great job as always. And in national headlines this morning, the Biden administration is making changes to a popular initiative designed to keep employees on payrolls as the pandemic continues to take an economic toll.
President Biden is announcing rules to try and make it easier for the smallest businesses to stay open. Starting Wednesday, the administration will have a 2-week period in which only businesses with fewer than 20 employees will be allowed to apply for the Paycheck Protection Program's forgivable loans. The administration is also carving out $1 billion for sole proprietors such as contractors and beauticians, many of whom are women and people of color. It's also clarifying rules allowing non-citizen legal residents to apply to the program. This comes as Democrats are preparing to pass the president's $1.9 trillion COVID relief package out of the Budget Committee, setting up a final vote in the full House later this week. President Biden will also mark a grim milestone this evening as the nation mourns 500,000 Americans who have died from the coronavirus.
This is a horrible landmark that we've now reached.
President Biden will remember the lives lost with brief remarks, a moment of silence, and a candle lighting ceremony. And the National Cathedral will ring its bells 500 times to honor the dead. Natalie Brand, CBS News, the White House.
Local news headlines, make sure to check us out on KUAM.com or all of our social media platforms at KUAM News. We are on top of everything that's going on, and you will be interactive with us in just a moment when the link returns right here on KUAM.
Uno Go has arrived and is here to deliver you food from your favorite restaurant in a safe, reliable, and fast way. Choose from a variety of restaurants island-wide and track your orders in real time, with quick deliveries whenever your cravings kick in. Plus, sanitized vehicles, reliable drivers, and safety seals for your peace of mind. Make the dash to Uno Go. Visit uno-go.com or download the app at the App Store or Google Play. Uno Go, delivering Guam on demand.
Only one company on Guam provides every solar energy solution under one roof, Micronesia Renewable Energy. You want solar only? They got that. You want solar with batteries? They got that too. You want outright purchase or lease purchase? It's up to you. Does your solar system need a tune-up? That's what they do. For solar energy solutions from A to Z, you can count on MRE. Give them a call at 632-2613 for a free consultation. MRE, providing real solar solutions built by real solar experts.
GU Self-Storage, conveniently located near the Harmon McDonald's. We offer affordable rates, online payments, and auto bill pay for your convenience. Plus gate access daily from 6 a.m. to 9 p.m. Call us today at 648-7867 for more information. The relationship between Guam and Manila, Philippines is undeniable as we share similar cultural traditions, history, and heritage, with generations of Filipinos calling Guam home. KUAM presents a monthly look at the capital city featuring in-depth and engaging interviews on everything from medical tourism to new business and government leaders. Veteran newscaster Nestor Lecanto delivers Beyond Our Borders. This special program is brought to you by the Bank of Guam and KFC.
Half a day. Does your child have a hearing loss? We are parents of deaf and hard of hearing children and volunteers with Guam's Positive Parents Together, and we are here for you. We know how you feel and have walked in your shoes. We want to help you navigate your way through our educational and medical systems, and most especially, your emotional journey. Please visit us at www.guamparents.org for more information.
You're watching The Link with Chris and Sabrina on TV 11, but don't leave yet because we're coming up next on CBS This Morning.
We got your 6.
At 6 a.m. with the link on Breeze 93.9 FM. Bree and I connect you with all the latest news and information you need to know to start your day.
Then check back with Guam's news leader at 6 p.m. for the day's top headlines with KUAM News Primetime.
From 6 a.m. to 6 p.m. and everything else in between with KUAM Digital, we got your 6. Seven o'clock. Good morning. We're KUAM FM. I got Guam. That's Ben Nagalta and the boys with a Z, of course.
You know what's the best part of that song? And I say this with like complete respect, is the end. Like when they kind of like just trail off at the end. Island Guam.
Right. Island Guam, and then they Guam.
Yeah.
Or something. Right.
And you get that nice harmony at the end.
And then this on guitar is John Skenko of John Dank Show.
That dude can really, really, really play. Have you ever seen John just completely go for it? Just like absolutely like risk something like that?
Pretty awesome.
Or just like, you know, the feeling just takes over him and he just like lets it shred. I mean, John's talented.
The shredder.
Yeah.
Definitely. 7:01. Good morning. Hey, I just want to take a second to shout out everyone who's remaining vigilant out there. Because I go around sometimes to run errands, and there's some businesses I've been into that don't have the temperature check stuff. Right? I don't know. I feel like you're supposed to have temperature checks. But there's a couple, and I can't remember. So there are people who don't. And then last night I went to the store, and it was crazy because I forgot to walk. There's a temperature check right by the door, but I just absentmindedly walked right past it, and no one stopped me.
Ooh.
Yeah. Good thing my temperature is always cool.
No, I did that once because like I was, my mind was elsewhere, and I walked in, and you hear this like, "Hey, good morning, Jason," because like they know me over there because I go
Right.
there all the time. It's like, "Hey, good morning, Jason." Hey, come on. I was like, "Whoa!" I was like looking around. I was like, "Oh, sorry, missing you." But that's cool.
Yeah. But I also want to shout out at the bank yesterday when I was lining up to give them my hard-earned money. They just have the green circles at the bank, so I was kind of like not on one, and the guy came and he was like, "Hey, sir, we're just we're enforcing the social distancing." So props to those employees. I mean, you're well within your right to go out of your way to tell somebody, "Hey, put your mask on," or "Can you guys scoot over," or whatever it is, because at the end of the day, when public health comes around with their red pen and their yellow legal pad, it's going to be your place of employment that suffers.
Okay.
Because I was just thinking, we had the story with Phil from the venue, and he was like, "We're not the mask police," but you are, though. You are. You businesses are the mask police, because if we're all going to do our part, especially with the bars, we just got to do our part. And y'all get a badge, okay? You're deputized.
Okay, now you're talking about like the scanners and temperature checks and everything. Those are supposed to be, everyone always wonders, okay, well, you just put your wrist over it, beep, or somebody goes there to beep. Okay, have a nice day. Thank you for shopping with us. Have you ever heard one of those scanners go off when your temperature is a little high because you get in from like a warm car?
There was one time I got my temperature checked, and I was waiting outside in a line. I forget where I was.
So the humidity got you.
But my temp was 99.
Yeah. And the reason
but they still let me in. No one said anything.
Well, the reason I bring this up is because Ken St. Nicholas and I, we did that. We did a live stream up at McDonald's Gigo actually a week ago today, and we went there. And so he was in his car getting like his gear, and when he went in there, his temperature was like 99.1. He was actually fine. His temperature was good, but just being in the hot car, he went over there, and man, those when you're hot, those things go off. You can hear that like 500 feet away. It's like, wee, wee, wee,
Yeah.
wee, wee. I was like, oh, that's what it sounds like.
I never heard it go off. Very fortunate.
Yeah, and hopefully none of you will. But,
Right.
But yeah, But, like,
that's a sound I hope you never have to hear.
When you are above the temperature threshold, let's put it that way, everybody knows.
So it goes off, and it's a crazy alarm.
Yeah, we do have a shout out to give.
I don't know what I would do if I was in a place and the alarm went off. I'd probably like drop down on the floor or something. Stop, drop, and roll. There should be a drill that they institute. When you hear the temperature check thing, go, hold your breath, don't breathe, look down at the floor.
Double mask.
Cover your ears. We do have a shout out, Jay. We've got a bunch of shout outs here. First of all, shout out to everybody watching on our Facebook Live. When I go around and I talk to people, they always say like, "Oh, we wake up with you guys. It's just part of our morning." So thank you guys, because there's just a lot of ways you can start your morning. So we're so grateful that you choose to start your morning Link style.
Including not only the Link family, but the extended KUAM family.
Right on.
Spouses of our coworkers who we've worked with for, better than 2 decades. So Hafide and good morning from Santa Rita
There you go.
to Grace Anderson.
Good morning, Miss Grace. Good morning, Mr. Pete.
Yeah, Pete doesn't work for like another 4 or 5 hours, and he gets up and he's watching right now.
He's in the chat. He's like the first one in the chat in the morning, sending the memes.
And
right?
if you make a mistake in saying something, he's sitting there. I can already see. He's like, this Chris, you got one thing to do.
God, you got one job to enunciate things.
And you said the guy's name wrong, Chris.
But I like Mr. Pete because his last name is Anderson, and I've always called him over the years, Mr. Anderson. Mr. Anderson. It's from The Matrix, guys.
Yeah.
Which, they're coming out with another Matrix.
Which should come out one of these days.
Oh, nice. Okay, so at 7:06, guys, we're going to take a really quick break with Cover Me. It's brought to you by Burger King, where they have the BK Big Fish. Yeah, it's still Lent. They got the BK Big Fish, and they've also got the Impossible Whopper. Both are Lent-friendly, okay? So you can grab those at any of your Burger King locations. We're coming back with Senator Clint Regell in the KUAM News Zoom room. Right after this, it's Cover Me again. And this is our buddy Joe Guam, who Sunday, he's got a bunch of great playlists on YouTube. As you guys know, he goes live all the time. So Sunday, we're getting ready for church, and we popped on one of his YouTube playlists. Man, he just plays every song that you know if you're from like Guam, or even from the islands in general. Even you play some Hawaiian stuff or whatever. But it's like a soundtrack you can kind of like sing along to, and he's a hardworking musician, and I think he's one of these musicians, kind of like our very own Peter Santos, who's going to thrive with the reopening of bars and live entertainment, because they're like a one-man show. Because if you're in a band, there's all these different protocols. Like if you're in a band, you have to be 6 feet away from each other. The singer has to be in like a plexiglass cage, pretty much like a 6 foot high plexiglass wall.
Fortunately for Joe, he literally is a one-man band.
Right. And then also with the live entertainment, there's absolutely no cheering or singing along or dancing.
So once again, don't do Freebird. If you're a musician and everything like that, be safe.
I mean, isn't that just part of the bar experience?
Once you launch into it, people
Jay,
can't not sing Freebird.
When you're at the bar, even Joe Sir knows, like, because he's a DJ at the Globe, when you play the song that everybody knows and everybody's like so drunk and they're like, "Yeah,
sing us a song, a piano man. Sing us a song
See,
tonight."
If Jason did that in the bar, he would get a ticket.
Yeah, don't do that.
I don't know if you would get a ticket or like the bar owner would get it. Someone would get a ticket, okay? 708. So, yeah, we'll do this Cover Me, and we're back with Senator Clint Regell next on The Link.
We've been together a while, and I don't mean to cramp your style. Sometimes I wonder just how things happen this way. And I'm just reminiscing of that one whole night we would spend. You pick me up every morning. I just get through with the club. I never thought that a girl could love a man this much. I am overwhelmed, and baby, I just can't thank you enough. And I'm wondering, oh, sweet darling, what did I do to deserve you? What did I say to make your angel eyes turn my way? If only I had the world, I'd give it all to you, babe. I'm about to leave for the road. I'll take you with me in my heart. And I really pray the Lord my soul to keep. And baby, just one request. conquest. Keep dreaming of me. And I'm wondering, oh, sweet darling, what did I do to deserve you? What did I say to make your angel eyes turn my way? If only I had the world, I'd give it all to you, babe. I said if only I had the world, I'd give it all to you, babe. I said if only I had the world, I'd give it all to you, babe.
Right? When you hear Joe Guam, he's always just got, and you know how he got, not got started, but you remember way back, I don't know how far back it was, but it was kind of like when we first had viral videos. He was working for United Airlines. Remember? And he was like, played the ukulele, and they're like, here's this guy, Joe Guam, and he sings. And you remember that?
No, I remember when he first showed up. I first met him at the barbecue block party that we always had down in Tumon, right on the strip. And I
Yeah.
want to say this is maybe 6-7 years ago. And he was one of the featured performers, like up on the stage and he's playing. I was like, wow, that guy can really play.
He can jam.
Yeah. And then, we got to do some interviews with him.
He's a jammer.
I was like, he's a really, really nice guy.
Really nice guy.
Yeah.
7/14, February 23rd, the link. Let's go into the Zoom room now where Senator Clint Regell is standing by as they had a big voting day yesterday in the 36th Guam legislature. And we'll bring in Bree for the roundup and all that stuff. But Senator Regell, good morning, first of all.
Hi, good morning.
That is a pretty cool background. We're talking about that. What is that?
Oh yeah, it's the blueprint of the Seal of Guam. So if I kind of move out of the way, it's the it's the blueprint of the Seal of Guam. I guess when they were coming up with the design.
What is that? Like a print? Oh, it's a virtual. It's virtual.
Hello?
Is it a print or it's virtual?
Oh, it's virtual background. Yeah, I just.
No, again, I thought it was the bottom of like a swimming pool. And if somebody puts the Great Seal of Guam on the bottom of their pool, that's the coolest thing ever.
I think I grew up with those bathroom tiles. Those for me. Anyway.
Like the bathroom tiles.
Right. 7:15. So let's just kind of go down. I know that there's a couple of measures you voted no on, and I know the governor name dropped you at the press conference on Friday. So we'll just kind of start there with that public health emergency bill, which passed by a very narrow 8-7 margin, and you voted no. So just that kind of tell us why.
Sure. I said on the session floor that I was opposed to it from the beginning. It's called they're calling it the separation of powers bill, and the argument in the beginning of the bill was that in the original findings and intent was that somehow the separation of powers hasn't been intact throughout the public health emergency. And I say it's wrong. This bill does the opposite. This bill actually infringes upon the doctrine of separation of powers. Because what the bill does is it takes away what is an executive function, declaration of an emergency, in this case, a public health emergency. These declaration of emergencies are always executive functions. It takes that away and now gives it to the legislature. They argue that, the separation of powers is neat. The separation of powers is already there in the enabling legislation that allows for the governor to call a public health emergency, because in that same law that allows the governor to call a public health emergency, it allows the legislature to cancel that public health emergency at any time. That's separation of powers. Governor can declare a public health emergency, legislature can cancel it at any time. No one's ever attempted to cancel it. And I think that the authors of this bill just did it for, to pander to certain people in the public, because instead of, if they want to end and I told them this on the floor, I said, if you want to end a public health emergency, introduce something to end the public health emergency. Instead, they put something else that says, oh, now every 30 days, the legislature would have to decide if they want to extend the public health emergency. And in times of emergency, you don't have time for the legislature to go in and debate and argue and deliberate things and, hold public hearing and just take all this time and mire it down in the legislative process. That's already a slow acting process. It's not a quick process.
Right,
That's
Senator.
why you have the executive branch
Yeah, and I want to kind of
execute things quicker.
I want to kind of run this quote here from the governor on Friday. I thought it was an interesting arrangement of words. And this is the governor, by the, how quickly the legislature cannot move. And they even say 90 days. I don't think they should have the authority to renew the public health emergency every month. And that was kind of one of the arguments against this bill, right? Was that, for you guys to even go into session, it takes a near act of God. And it's not going to be quick enough to address these emergencies. Is that something you agree with?
Yeah, absolutely. That's why. Yeah, that's absolutely right. That's why declarations of emergency are usually executive functions, and then the separation of powers part is the legislature. If the legislature thinks it's an improper declaration, can come in and nullify the declaration of emergency. That's where there is a separation of powers. It's it's the same thing with when the governor appoints cabinet members or directors of agencies or board members of boards and other things. Imagine if it was up to the legislature to to appoint all of these positions. The positions would probably never be filled just because the legislative process takes forever. Instead, it's the other way. The governor appoints it, then if the legislature doesn't like the appointee, the legislature can not confirm the appointee, vote it down. But in the meantime, that appointee's there acting, doing work, right? Because it takes time for the legislative process to act. That's why there's executive functions and legislative functions. So that was one issue I had. I also pointed out too that it's interesting to note that the authors of this separation of powers bill, which would basically, let's look at what would have happened if this bill were law already during this pandemic. The governor would have come in, declared a public health emergency back in March of last year. Then every 30 days after that, the legislature would have to come back in to extend the emergency, or not extend the emergency, but every 30 days coming back in to argue for whether or not it should be extended. Well, the authors of this bill are the same proponents and authors of a bill for a part-time legislature that would only meet twice a year. So I think it's interesting to me. That means that the authors of this bill are saying to us that even they recognize that you need a full-time legislature. So it's like they want a part-time legislature on one hand that meets twice a year. On the other hand, they have this bill that says, oh, every 30 days, the legislature will have to renew a public health emergency.
Right. I kind of think that's almost like an apples and oranges thing. But we'll go back to the separation of powers. So, Senator, it kind of is like a little inconsistent because you had like the governor come out last year and with the CARES Act saying that the legislature had no authority to appropriate this federal money, right? And she was very firm on that. But then when Senator Amanda Shelton's bill, I think it was the McGough, that bill did exactly that with the approval of Adelup. So how do you kind of not defend, but what do you make of these inconsistent applications of these arguments about separation of powers?
Well, that's not okay. So with the appropriation of money, that's a little different because it's federal to local government. That's what it is. So it's not really, we're not controlling the government purse strings. The federal government is giving it directly to the states. In fact, every state is the same thing. Every state governor got federal CARES Act money. The state legislatures in those states weren't able to touch that money. So that's what that is. But as far as you're referencing another bill, that's that's a good question. I don't know how that works with that bill and why there was a need for that bill in the first place.
How much of this do you think that was kind of right? So you have the issue of should the legislature extend it, but I felt like it also became, when you watch the public hearing, not about extending the emergency, but it was almost like a gripe session, right? Where, to me, this bill kind of turned into like, do you approve of what the governor has done during this pandemic, or do you not?
Yeah, that's in the findings and intent. It had that, but the findings and intent was deleted because in the findings and intent, the original version, it said a bunch of stuff that basically, if you voted yes on it, then you would be agreeing with all those findings and intent that basically said a lot of stuff about how the governor handled the public health emergency, that she overstepped the boundaries of the separation of powers, that that the decisions were all arbitrary and you know, not based on any fact, kind of thing.
So let me
but
ask.
that was deleted from the bill.
Right. But it kind of remained like the tone of the conversation, whereas you had just like, right. And so, I mean, if you took that out and the bill was just strictly about should the legislature have a seat at the table to extend or end a public health emergency, and it hadn't have started like that, because I do agree with that. It kind of started where it's like, the governor sucks in the pandemic, we're going to take away her power. And then it kind of morphed, but that wasn't really working, and it was like very divisive. It kind of morphed into more about the emergency. But if we had taken that out, do you think that there would have been maybe less partisan debate on this measure?
No. The issue is you got these guys that they want to end the public health emergency, but they don't want to end the public health emergency. So instead, they make it automatically end. That's the way I see it. Yeah, like you can end it at any time. You don't want the public health emergency now, put forth a bill to end it. Instead of doing that, they just put forth an automatic and termination date, and then, you know, every 30 days go back in. I bet the authors of the bill, I bet they don't expect the bill to pass. I bet they fully expect the governor to veto it and for it not to become law.
I see what
and
you're
then
saying.
they can say, hey, we tried.
Right.
We did our best.
Kind of like Jim Moylan in the last term when he's like wrote 5,000 letters. And it's like, hey, I tried. Well, they just want to throw up what do you call it, a Hail Mary or whatever. But I mean, it did pass. And obviously the governor's going to veto it.
Yeah. Right. That's what I think they're banking on.
Right. And then,
because otherwise, if they get part-time legislature, how are they going to meet every 30 days? Talk about the
okay, let's talk about the minimum wage delay, Senator. So you voted against the delay of the implementation of the second half of the minimum wage, right? Was it the second half, or just was like a 50-cent raise?
Yeah. Yeah, it's a 50-cent raise, and that's why I mean, to me, it's such a tiny amount. Cost of living, inflation on Guam, and wages just have not kept up with the cost of living. Wages have not kept up with inflation. It's a 50-cent raise that businesses have been able to plan for years now, because we did this in increments so that businesses could all plan and set up their budgets accordingly for this. And, you know, some senators wanted to delay it, and I didn't think it should be delayed. We've got the federal government's talking about a $15 minimum wage. Now that's a huge thing. That's something that's I would probably pause on at first, because that's a huge difference there. But that's what the federal government's proposing, and you know, that's coming down the pike anytime soon now. Our local one is just a 50-cent raise that I think and I got messages from people who are making minimum wage, and they said they really need this little bump, even if it's just 50 cents. Everything helps with all these different costs going up, prices of fuel, everything. So, you know, I thought there's no reason to stall the implementation of the 50-cent increase.
I'm really surprised that the debate wasn't, or what I saw of it, wasn't more like fiery, because I really felt like, I mean, you guys were all in on this minimum wage increase, and then it was like, for the most part, a lot of people did a 180.
I was pretty fiery. I don't know about the
No.
others,
I mean, I'm just saying. I expected. I was kind of weird to me to see everyone say, "Hey, we got to pay these people more," and then like, "Oh no, we can't pay them more now." But the lobby was crazy.
Not for me. I was very passionate in my speech about the 50-cent increase. You know, one of the arguments I use is that, so you know, economists will argue this forever. There's some economists say mandating minimum wages is bad public policy, and let the free market. They always say, let the free market determine. Let the free market determine how the minimum wage should be set. The problem with that is history has shown us that the free market will not do what's in the best interest of workers and will not be fair. The reason why is because the free market will always look for the cheapest labor possible. In fact, what I pointed to on the session floor is that the free market, when left to its own devices, said slavery was okay. Slavery was an act of the free market saying, let's find the cheapest labor possible. Free labor, slavery. No one in the free market thought there was anything wrong. Free market didn't balance it out and
Come
make
on,
sure that
man.
slaves got good
That's a
wages,
little bit of a stretch.
know?
There.
No, it's not. That was completely economic. That was completely economic, Chris. Slaves were brought over to the U.S. to work.
No, I get that.
Plantations and
Yeah, I
cotton
do.
fields. That was for work. It was for labor. And that's the free market. It took the government to step in and say, okay, you can't have slave labor. Child labor laws were invented for the same reason, because otherwise the free market thought it's okay to have kids work in factories, etc. And then when the U.S. outlaws those things, these corporations go to other countries to get child labor from sweatshops. They outsource their labor to the cheapest country. So the whole argument of, hey, you were complaining there wasn't enough fire, right? So
No, yeah. Now we got the fire, guys, and the smoke. So what is the governor? What's the governor going to do? Because I wasn't really clear on. I don't know if does she come down kind of one way or the other on this measure?
I don't know.
Right, that's weird. So we know what she's going to do with the public health emergency bill, but she held it a little close to her vest on this minimum wage delay.
Yeah, I have no idea. I don't know.
And then so there were some other measures.
The minimum wage bill passed, so I don't know if she's going to veto it or what. I have no idea.
Right on. And then there were some other. You sent out a release yesterday, Senator.
Yeah.
Regarding?
I introduced a couple of bills to address agricultural theft. So Mr. Woostig's been in the
Mr.
news
Woostig, right?
Yeah, for his theft of corn. But I have been working on this legislation for a while because a lot of farmers have expressed these concerns. The Department of Agriculture brought this to my attention. The Department of Agriculture has really said, hey, this law is not clear on, it's funny. Apparently under theft of property, it wasn't clear enough whether or not produce. I think it's clear, but apparently there's been a lot of difficulty with prosecuting and charging people for theft of produce. I've been told by farmers that they call the police, and when the police show up, they say, oh, this is not illegal. It's not in the Guam code. It doesn't, because the code does say livestock and animals and some other things, but not necessarily produce. So, with that, we introduced a bill to make sure that it's clear that produce is considered property, so that they can clearly charge them for theft of property. Then I introduced a companion bill that would require that any businesses, restaurants, for example, et cetera, that buy produce have to buy produce from a registered bona fide farmer. And the reason for that is that would prevent them from, right now, the reason why people are stealing produce, what I'm being told by most farmers, is their produce gets stolen and then the people go sell the produce for cash.
Yeah.
I know farmers that have caught people selling their produce because some farmers got creative and found ways to kind of mark some of their produce, which is obviously very tedious, but I guess mark some of their produce, or some of them just knew that it was their produce by how it looked. And they've gone and they've had to go catch some of these guys selling it. But it's difficult to catch them selling it because, if they go sell it to a restaurant or, a store or something, what do you do? Go inspect every store and every restaurant on island and look for your bananas or,
Right.
So this would prevent those stores and restaurants from buying it. And if they get caught, they get in trouble for buying from a non-bona fide farmer. And the idea there is add a layer of prevention there to help prevent theft of produce.
Right. What's the penalties, and will marijuana be covered?
As theft of produce? Actually, I think it is in the way that it's written. Let me look up the actual definition of what we put in it. We said it includes agricultural product, which includes floriculture, horticulture, viticulture, aquaculture, forestry products and commodities, and other farm or plantation products or commodities grown or raised by a bona fide farmer. So I think, yeah, it does.
All right.
It should fall under floriculture because, you know, it's flowers.
Right on. What else you got going on, Senator?
That's it for now. I'm still working on, you know, some other pieces of legislation. I'm going to work on a lot of agricultural pieces of legislation this term.
Do you know anything about the fisheries grant delay? And this is I think it's the CARES Act funds. And remember, they had to register all the fishermen, and then they said, "Oh, we're going to put out these grants based on what type of fisherman you were."
Yeah, not off the top of my head. I'll have to look into that. I'm not sure.
Well, we're getting Chelsea on today, so I'll ask her about that. Hey, but I wanted to ask you because there was an opinion, I think, in the Post, and it was about the senators getting the vaccine, and they kind of went in hard on it, right? And they were like, "Oh, there's no reason why senators should get the vaccine ahead of like frontline essential workers, like I think grocery store workers." Did you have a stance on that, or did you see where they're coming from, or do you think it's...
Yeah, I mean, I think the grocery workers should get it first. You know, I don't think the senators should get it first. So yeah. But I did put a quote in there that I said, you know, it is interesting because the senators are sort of damned if we do, damned if we don't. Because I know people that were clamoring, saying, "Oh, all you politicians take the vaccine first. We don't trust it. You guys take it first." And I was like, I mean, if that's what you want, I'll take it first. Then other people are like, "Why are you taking it first? The frontline workers should take it first." So it's like, which one is it? You know, for me, I don't care. You want me to take it first to prove it's safe? I'll take it first. You want me to wait to the end? I'll wait to the end. It's like,
That being said, though, do you think that, I mean, when we're looking at the businesses that were allowed to remain open, like, you know, for example, the grocery stores or whatever, what could we do better to get those types of groups vaccinated? Because even media is supposed to be essential, but we haven't heard anything. I mean,
I don't know. There's a vaccine whatever board that's determining that, and I don't know what parameters they use to determine it.
Right.
You know, I'm not a health expert.
Yeah.
I know you might think I am, but I'm not. I'm just I don't know is the answer. That's why you got to have these guys sit down and figure it out. I mean, that's what these guys are for. They're supposed to sit down and figure out, all right, how do we prioritize and figure out who should get it first and who's most at risk? You know, this is all new stuff too. I mean, you know, figuring out who to give a vaccine to. I think they started off right. They gave it to the elderly first, and then they kind of went down in ages. And then I don't know how they're determining now frontline workers, et cetera. I mean, you know, like the registers at, you know, at a store or in a restaurant. I mean, I think they should get it. And they're in contact with a lot of people. You know, you go to the EPEN mobile store that I go to regularly, and they're in contact with so many people. Yeah, let's vaccinate all of them. But I don't know if I don't know how they determine it. Maybe they don't have enough for that many people, so they said, let's do another group first. There's only 15 senators. Maybe that's why they did it. I don't know. You got to ask those guys how they
I think they said, Art in the press conference that said it was something about the succession of government. You know, in case anything happened to Lou and Josh, and then the senators are next in line to run the island, and then, you know what I mean? But did any of your colleagues, Senator, did anybody down there say, oh, hold on a second, go do the grocery store workers and the restaurant workers first?
I don't know. I don't know if anyone said that. Yeah, I don't think so.
And was it just the senators, or was it the staff too?
It was just senators. I do know some senators asked, what about their staff?
Right.
Some senators did ask about their staff. So yeah. Look, I got vaccinated not because of being a senator. I took my parents in to get their vaccine, and the public health worker said, "Senator, why don't you get yours?" I said, "I'll wait my turn," because this is before they said senators could get theirs, right?
Right.
I said, "I'll wait my turn," and they said, "Oh no, you qualify as a caregiver." And I said, "Are you sure? I don't need it. I mean, just let everyone else get it first. I don't want to step in front of anyone." "Oh, no, Senator, you qualify as a caregiver because you're the caregiver for your parents. So get," and then they were all looking at me like if I was really going to get it or not, like if I would prove that I'm down to get it. And I was like, "Okay, give it to me then. I'll take it." So I got it, and
Yeah, there's a
like
few.
I said, for me, I can wait,
Yeah.
or I can, want me to get it now? I'll get it now. It doesn't.
Right, and
I mean,
there's
I would like to see other people get it first,
Yeah.
for sure. Like those who work, in grocery stores and restaurants, for sure.
right. I also wanted to ask about this. Are you going to that fundraiser tomorrow?
What fundraiser?
Can we pop that up, guys? There's a $500 plate fundraiser tomorrow at Hyatt. For
I don't think I've ever been to a $500 plate fundraiser.
like, okay, let me see your shoes. Yeah, you can't come in here, Senator. I guess
Look, I'm the guy that has a $50 cap on my fundraisers.
Right. Yeah, I know.
I don't even have $100 fundraisers.
I guess last question was because you had oversight of the port in the last term, and there's just been all kinds of crazy happening with it this term. But I think one of the criticisms levied by, I want to say it was either Senator Joanne or somebody, was saying that there wasn't a lot of oversight over the port in the previous term. Did you care to respond to that or wade into this? Defend your honor.
From last term. Yeah, we went over this before. Senator Brown accused me last time of I don't know what she wanted. She just wants us to fire those guys who got reinstated, which we can't do. The CSC reinstated them. They went to court. These guys went all through the court system, got reinstated, and got told to be paid back wages and everything. And for some reason, she wants, I don't know what she wants. She didn't like those guys, remember? When she was there, I think she's the one who fired them.
All right. Senator, thanks for your time. It's always a good time with you.
Yeah, good times.
Yeah. I mean, I guess on that, I would just respond that there was that audit that came out about the overpaying of the Port 7. So to you, just
sure.
think...
Well, if there's overpaid, they got to fix that. That audit just came out recently. I did see that audit. Definitely, yeah. Go back and correct whatever was overpaid.
Right on.
Absolutely. That's what the auditor's there for, and so I'm glad he did that audit. But I mean, I guess his assertion that I don't know, that there wasn't enough oversight. Senator Brown just didn't like the fact that all those Port 7 were reinstated and given money.
So it was a Port 7 thing.
And that thing gets so mired down in politics from back then. There was so much politics going on. I don't even remember all the details of all the things that were going on back then. That's when. Anyway,
let me just ask you then while we're on this.
I don't have oversight of the port now, so Senator Brown should be happy since I did such a horrible job last term. I don't have it this term, Senator Brown. You happy?
Woo! What about the official misconduct bill? I know there's a public hearing on that tomorrow. Did you have any position on that at all? And this is the measure that would bar those convicted of official misconduct from being hired into GovGuam.
Oh, great. I haven't read the bill yet, but in theory, it sounds like a good bill. I haven't read it yet, but in theory, it sounds like a good. It's going to bar people. You said people convicted of official misconduct from working in the government again. Yeah, I think it sounds like a good idea.
Okay, Senator. Thanks.
Thank you.
There you go, Senator Clint Regell in the KUM News Zoom room, 740 here on the link. We're going to take a quick break, and then we got Uncle Carl, former Governor Carl Gutierrez, who's now the GVB president, and he's joined by his deputy, Jerry Perez. April 1st, tourism reopening. I believe there's also a hearing this week for GVB, so we'll talk about that too next. Coming up on the link. Good morning.
Make it through the week.
This is the new way to dine in. Choose a restaurant, make your order, get your food delivered fast, safe, and reliably. Make the dash to Uno Go. Uno-go.com.
Only one company on Guam provides every solar energy solution under one roof. Micronesia Renewable Energy. You want solar only? They got that. You want solar with batteries? They got that too. You want outright purchase or lease purchase? It's up to you. Does your solar system need a tune-up? That's what they do. For solar energy solutions from A to Z, you can count on MRE. Give them a call at 632-2613 for a free consultation. MRE, providing real solar solutions built by real solar experts.
GU Self-Storage, conveniently located near the Harmon McDonald's. We offer affordable rates, online payments, and auto bill pay for your convenience. Plus gate access daily from 6 a.m. to 9 p.m. Call us today at 648-7867 for more information.
Half a day. Does your child have a hearing loss? We are parents of deaf and hard of hearing children and volunteers with Guam's Positive Parents Together, and we are here for you. We know how you feel and have walked in your shoes. We want to help you navigate your way through our educational and medical systems, and most especially, your emotional journey. Please visit us at www.guamparents.org for more information.
The relationship between Guam and Manila, Philippines is undeniable as we share similar cultural traditions, history, and heritage, with generations of Filipinos calling Guam home. KUAM presents a monthly look at the capital city featuring in-depth and engaging interviews on everything from medical tourism to new business and government leaders. Veteran newscaster Nestor Lecanto delivers Beyond Our Borders. This special program is brought to you by the Bank of Guam and KFC.
You're watching The Link with Chris and Sabrina on TV 11. Stick around because we're next on CBS This Morning.
We got your 6.
At 6 a.m. with The Link on Breeze 93.9 FM. Bree and I connect you with all the latest news and information you need to know to start your day.
Then check back with Guam's news leader at 6 p.m. for the day's top headlines with KUAM News Primetime.
From 6 a.m. to 6 p.m. and everything else in between with KUAM Digital, we got your 6. .45, the late great J.D. Crutch on The Link. Good morning. Hey, don't forget to check out Uno Go, guys, if you're hungry. It's a great food delivery service, and we have a promo code LINK100. You use LINK100 when you use Uno Go. and your delivery fee will be it's delivery free. Actually, it'll be waived. 7:47. Let's go into the Zoom room where we have standing by former Governor Carl Gutierrez of the Guam Visitors Bureau. He's the president, and we have the deputy Jerry Perez. Good morning, Gov. Good morning, Jerry.
Good morning. Good morning, Guam.
Gov, can we just start in on this emergency declaration bill from Senator Chris Duenas that passed 8-7 yesterday in the session? I just wanted to get your perspective, obviously, because you are a two-term governor, and you did have your share of disasters when you were governor. So I'm just kind of wondering, where do you, which side of this debate do you kind of fall on?
Well, first of all, I'm not sure exactly the final version that they passed, so it's very difficult for me, and unless what they talked about in the beginning, that it ends after 30 days when the governor declares.
I think it's 90 days. I think they gave her like 90 days right at the beginning, and then after that it would be, I think, every 30 or something.
Well, yeah, I'm not really into what I know that the senators back then when I was governor, and we had the declaration of emergency for Typhoon Paka and others, that they really didn't step in to stop the emergency, because you work closely with the federal government that still deems it an emergency because of the flow of funds from FEMA. So I'm not sure exactly the situation is, but if there is actually a flow of funds under an emergency situation, then the governor has a right to make sure that we don't get left out of getting funds because there is no emergency on Guam. So it's the governor is right that be careful what you ask for, because in the end you're going to be paying for it.
But if you were governor right now, Gov, and this measure was passed by the legislature, what would you be saying to these senators?
I wouldn't even talk about that. I mean, I'm not governor, and there's one governor, Governor Lulian Guerrero, that's making the hard decision, and the people appreciate it.
Then I guess the other one I wanted to ask you about was this official misconduct bill, and I think it's Senator Brown would bar people convicted of official misconduct from working in the government of Guam.
I'm sorry, I didn't hear you.
What do you think of this official misconduct bill, Gov? I think it would bar people convicted of official misconduct from being hired into the government of Guam.
That passed too?
No, it didn't. There's a public hearing tomorrow.
Oh, I don't know. I don't even know what the bill says, but certainly, that's like when they barred people that didn't graduate from high school from ever working for the government of Guam. That was an injustice done for many, many people that precludes them, and it's an injustice, and it's still in the law right now. I think that you have to be careful too about just wiping out a certain group of people that may have paid their dues in society. Or, for example, like I said, the people that didn't get their high school diploma rather, for one reason or another, taking care of their family and just didn't have it. So, I think this micromanaging, the governor of Guam under the Organic Act is in a very difficult situation. I mean, you've got a governor of Guam, and then you got a board of directors. And those board of directors people, I mean, they legislate from day to day for different things that the governor should be making decisions on. And that's the fallacy of our Organic Act process right now. I think that really we should go into writing a real constitution for Guam that we already have. Maybe we voted on it again. The governor is the chief executive, and you don't want to, like I said, be treating her like you're a board of directors, people from one day to the other, one subject to the other. It's just not really national kind of thinking, but very, very parochial.
Hi, good morning. I just wanted to ask if you guys are going to the $500 fundraiser tomorrow at the Hyatt.
I didn't know. I didn't get, not yet. I didn't get a ticket, so.
I'll send you. Go.
I don't know about Jerry.
What do you think, Jerry? You got 500 there?
No, I haven't got anything either, but I'm happy for Carl to pay for it.
Oh, there you go. It sounds like you're going. You got a date. Plus one.
Well, if not, then happy hour. Where's happy hour? You got the bars are open.
If they offer me a ticket and there's still space, I'll go.
Gov, so did you get like a lot of thank you calls from the bars because you came on here and I felt like you got in trouble because you were like, hey, open the bars already. What's going on?
I didn't really get in trouble. I just was trying to bring the issue out. She was amenable to doing it. It's just that we needed a protocol set up by the Hotel and Restaurant Association, which she finally got 3 weeks later, but she did carry it through.
Right on. Are you ready to talk about GVB now?
Yeah.
Okay. So April 1st, that's the tentative tourism reopening date. I guess the first question I had was, I know when we had a tentative tourism reopening date last year, leading up to that date, there was a whole bunch of effort about getting the island cleaned up. And you know how it is when you got kids, you clean something up and, turn around tomorrow, it's a mess again. And that's where we are right now. We did a clean up, and now the whole island's messy again. So is there any effort with GVB or the IBTF to kind of go out and do some re-sprucing up?
Well, I'll let Jerry follow through with this, but right now, of course, we're feeling something really, really exciting out there. I mean, it's probable that we're going to be opening up just by the different executive orders the governor's putting out. She's very bullish now on the vaccination processes and the protocols that she put in place. So I think we're heading in the right direction, and now is the time to really think that the first week of April is a good target date that she put together. And but with Jerry and I looking at how to get this thing moving, I'm sure he'll tell you that we need to give lead time to aircraft scheduling in Japan, Korea, Taiwan, and other things that you have to put in place. You just don't announce on April 1st that you're opened up. You got to prepare ahead of time. So hopefully by start in May, we'll start seeing a lot of these flights coming in. So Jerry, maybe you want to just explain exactly the scheduling of different countries around us and what that bodes for us.
Yeah, thank you, Governor. Let me circle back to the original question first on the clean up and spruce up campaign. That was actually on August 1st because at that time, if you recall, our COVID containment was very good. And the reason that went off the track is because of the sudden spike, not only on Guam, but in our 3 markets. So we had to scrap all that completely and then just kind of focus attention now on ourselves. So for this opening to take place, there are really 3 strategic initiatives that we needed to work on as a community. First of all, the containment of the COVID. And I would say that in spite of all the ups and downs and controversy, we're in a good place now relative to where we were just 4 months ago. We haven't had, let me see, our car scores today are like 0.2. We haven't been this low since December 3rd. So things are boding well. So the other thing we needed to do was preparing the community to make sure that there's safety protocols for the different businesses here, so that our local residents don't get infected if we have anybody coming in, right? And the third thing, of course, is market engagement. The market engagement issue, I think I mentioned this before, we never really went dark in our market. Even during the pandemic, we stayed engaged with social media. We stayed engaged. So you probably remember this Guam, G-U-A-M, Give Us a Moment campaign during the pandemic. And so we're getting ready now. If the right things are in place, we're getting ready to roll out another Guam, G-U-A-M, Get Up and Move, which is a call to action campaign.
Not Give Us American Money?
Well, I mean,
that's the old one.
That comes from KOM, not from GVB. but anyway, what we need to do now is really work with the governor and public health officials to come up with a risk proportionate protocol policy that is more tourist sensitive, that protects not only the local community, but allows their to be entry with proper testing and vaccines or whatever it is from our source markets. And it looks like Korea and Japan, for example, have starting to really control their problem. And so this April 1 announcement is basically an announcement to Carl's point, so that the industry can start putting in place plans to fly to Guam and to start selling Guam. I can't disclose the airline right now, but there's a carrier that is actually already selling May to Guam. And so a lot would depend on what kind of risk proportionate policy public health comes up with that would be more visitor friendly. And that's kind of on our plate this next few days to work with them to come up with that.
Where are we with the Taiwan push?
Where are we in the Taiwan push?
Yeah, I remember we were really pushing with Taiwan
Yeah.
to get a good relationship with them for the tourism.
Well, Carl can speak more to that, but fundamentally, Taiwan is on our radar screen in terms of the same initiatives to generate business to Guam.
Yeah.
You can expand on the other issues related to Taiwan.
Okay, the Taiwan is our really good target. I mean, simply because we've got their government represented here by Coco, Director General Paul Chen and Director Stephen Shu, that they really are looking at Guam as a first jumping off point for the travel hungry Taiwanese that are been cooped up. And so we're doing something to promote Guam together. For example, they came up with the idea of having a drawing contest, and they included all of the Department of Education, the private schools, University of Guam, to be able to set up some kind of a perception of the students of what the relationship is, Taiwan and Guam, and bring it to a height where we bring this drawing contest to Taiwan for display. Hopefully, when the governor travels there in the early June, as we are targeting, and so is Taiwan targeting, that would be a good time for the governor and her delegation to go there and not only open up a tourism market again, because we have one there already, but we're looking to do an expanded marketing person there that not only takes care of tourism, but takes care of airlines, takes care of aquaculture, agriculture, hospital, and airlines expansion. So the governor's going to make it big in Taiwan, simply because now that they've gone into a two-China policy over the last several months, that they want to showcase Guam, America, in Asia as the place to go to, sort of just to piss off a little bit of the Chinese there.
Yeah, so the Taiwan market, Chris, our main market in Japan and Korea is the leisure market. For Taiwan, in addition to the leisure market, what the governor is alluding to is we'll probably see an increase in the mix of business travel to Guam associated with these other activities that he's mentioned.
You mentioned the governor's going to be traveling. When is that? And is it going to be a whole delegation that heads to Taiwan?
Well, the governor and some of the GVB people, we had scheduled that last year, and things went back. But now she wants to make it her a point to be the first place to go to, simply because of their infection rate there was so low, and that she felt so safe, and she wanted to ensure that once we get ours up to par with theirs, that will be the first launch. Taiwan is always top in her mind. So June is what the Consul General or the Director General from Taiwan is saying is a good time. I think, in their conversation with the Ministry of Foreign Affairs, that would be a good target date, the 1st of June, first week of June.
Gov, so you just talked about the two China policy, right? But I mean, is there any tippy toeing that has to be done on our part when we look at how much soft diplomacy China does in the FSM in terms of like, you know, monetary or donations through building bridges or whatever? Because their footprint's just like right here, right? And then here we are, like, we love you, Taiwan. I mean, is there any kind of go ahead?
You're talking about China, the Republic of China.
Yeah.
In FSM. Well, Palau is associating with Taiwan, and so is the Marshall Islands. But right now, it's part of my article I write is that we have to not only be part of the security of this part of the world, but United States as well. And it behooves us to be able to associate with the freedom-loving people of Taiwan and nowhere else other than that in the Chinese background.
I wanted to ask about, so the campaign last year was like, give us a moment. So what is the strategy going forward to promote tourists to come back to Guam, while at the same time preparing the community and I guess alleviating concerns from the community here on Guam that, you know, we're just not inviting people, you know, to bring COVID into the territory?
Sabrina, I'm not sure I understand you.
That Guam,
right? How are we going to promote Guam?
Would be that we're safe, and that's what we're trying to do, and that the protocols for safety is really in place, and that's what the governor has done in the reestablishment of PCOR 3 for restaurants and stores, and just the moving around of people. That we need to be. So the strategy is that Guam is 3.5 hours away from Japan, Korea, Taiwan, and that as you land in Guam from Taiwan, you're already playing golf while you're still on a plane to Hawaii. I think we're gonna do that kind of a strategy, and as our new marketing prospective people that are there vying for our representation is that yes, they deem that in Japan they deem that Guam is the most trusted nation for tourists. And we want to live up to that. That's exactly what they came when we had an interview with them. Guam is the most trusted place in the United States for tourists. And we want to capitalize on that. And we're never forgetting that we have to keep promoting that, you know, Guam, USA, America and Asia. These are the things, and the short distances and the good hotels that are here in place already, but primarily it's the safety of the people coming here because of the COVID situation.
Just real quickly, Gov, we have to cut out of our broadcast. So for everybody watching us on KUAM television, thanks so much for watching. Please switch over to our Facebook live stream or on 93.9 The Breeze. To our Facebook live stream, and we had to cut out of our television stream. So now we're strictly on 93.9 The Breeze and Facebook. So.
Right on. Gov, so if you ever I know you wake up early, you just drink your coffee and your biscuit and watch us on KUAM TV, except Mondays. So Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday, Friday until 8 a.m.
Right. So, you know, in the CNMI, they are establishing, have been trying to establish this travel bubble with South Korea, and I guess they're working on some sort of written agreement with the government over there. Is that something that we plan on doing as well with whoever we're trying to market to and bring in?
No, Sabrina. I mean, this travel bubble project is good, okay, in the early stages, but with the vaccine coming online now, and the vaccines being implemented in Japan and Korea, our main message now is to message a campaign to have confidence in the destination safety experience coming to Guam. So that's going to be a key part in the messaging. Now, there might be, in the early stages, there might be opportunities to have what we call quarantine pods. Basically, a few people, families, or a group that share the protocols before, during, and after their visit to Guam. We might have some of that. We're exploring that. But, the real effort really should be to get back to a more normalized system of bookings. And a key part of our message, you mentioned the Give Us a Moment campaign and Get Up and Move campaign. A key part of that message is going to revolve around traveler information and travel and basically messaging about the safety and security of Guam as a destination. Because the new paradigm in travel now is, in the past, when you see crowds build up in a location, people get curious. They gravitate to where the crowd is because there's something's going on, right? Now, that's the antithesis of the new protocol. And so now people want to stay away from crowds because they don't want to risk getting exposed, right? So there's a lot of things happening, basically in a lot of dynamics changing from the past. But bottom line is a key message that we can convey to our markets is that you can come to Guam and have a safe destination experience.
What about this part in you're ticking off those 3 initiatives, preparing the community?
Well, preparing the community, the fundamental to that is, of course, containing the virus, which we've done pretty well, right? The second thing is, and GHRA, GCC, and UOG are working on this to work with a lot of the hotels and businesses to become, COVID safe. For the most part, though, a lot of our suppliers here in the row and elsewhere already have protocols in place. So just as a matter of practice, not so much for tourists, but for the local residents, they've been implementing a lot of these things. So to the extent that these practices have proliferated throughout the business community, that just solidifies that second initiative about preparing Guam, right? So that's kind of the issue.
Mm-hmm.
Gov, what about this? I saw that you were requesting $20 million from the new Biden bill for a budget shortfall in marketing.
Yes, and if you read in the paper yesterday, the governor has really highlighted GDB as now the child that's going to get these funds. That's very, very necessary to jumpstart the economy again. And she knows and understood that that we need seed money. There's no TAF funds coming in right now. There's a little, but certainly not enough to be able to aggressively market and compete against the big boys like Hawaii that's going to be doing this. So the governor has set a top priority for GVB. Hopefully we get at least $20 million from what Senator and Delegate San Nicolas had put into the $661 million funding for Guam. And part of that is that we would get that amount, and the governor hopefully like he said, she's praying that that thing will really go through the entire process and become law. But that's what it is right now. You've got the governor, now putting us in a high priority because she really believes that it's time now to go out and get investors, get tourists coming in, and let's get people again working. And so GDB is the prime mover in our economy, and we cannot ever forget that.
Gov, when you talk about this Biden bill and $20 million for tourism and marketing, I know that the governor was saying that some of these funds can be used to replace lost revenues.
Yeah, revenue replacement. I think that's what she said.
Right. So I mean, go ahead.
I'm not sure exactly what you mean, Chris, but replacement of TAF revenue, obviously, the GDB's function, right, is financially supported by TAF income. And if there are no tourists coming, there's no TAF income, and that's a revenue that needs to be replaced.
Right. So that being said, do you think that there's a chance that with this, I mean, if everything holds true to what people are saying, that we could have dodged a major economic bullet if we can use this huge relief package to kind of shore up areas that we were short in?
No,
Well, there's
but
some restrictions, previously on CARES money. We could not just get any money from the CARES fund, for example, because of certain guidelines. And so now the way that Delegate St. Nicholas passed this thing, the guidelines are not restrictive as it was in the past. So now we have an opportunity to get in line for some real money. I think we got a total under the CARES fund of less than $200,000 that we had to justify, that fell in a very narrow, jurisdiction. So it's different now, and hopefully this bill passes so that we can get some of that funds and first in line.
Do you guys have a breakdown on where you want to spend this $20 million?
Well, it's mostly marketing, and we're trying to get another 20 million, hopefully. If the CARES funds restrictions are lifted, there's still some money there to do some capital improvement in Tumon. There's a lot that we're doing right now with the storm drains, and we want to upgrade through an EDA funding of $18 million for Matapan Beach, and put a really new facelift there, put the fire department down there, and launch their boats from there. And we have a really nice plan that's being put together. We're working through with Public Works right now to get that EDA grant, and Vince Ariola is putting some priority on that. So that's going to be really a big facelift down at Matapan Beach, not only for the tourists, but certainly for our people of Guam. And there's also a safety issue there, where there's a little cavern underneath there, a sump that is slowly sinking, simply because of heavy equipment being put on top of those things. We have to shore that up, do better bathroom facilities there, and a good launch for the fire department jet skis.
Wow.
Wow, all that at Matapang?
Yeah, very
Nice.
nicely. I'd like to show you the rendering of what it's going to look like when it's done. So hopefully you can do a story on that.
Yeah,
because
send
that
it.
is-
Send it.
Definitely.
Yeah.
You'll be called today on that.
Yeah.
You mean what?
We'll be calling you today to do it.
Sure.
Ask your grandkids how to send it on the WhatsApp.
Dee Hernandez and Keisha Garrido, Anadera Garrido, that have the renderings, and they're the ones that are working in destination development here in Guam. So they'll be the good people to interview and show you the rendering.
So all the
And
firemen.
Also, Flores is the architect engineer that's putting it together for us.
So we got the approval to do the interview with them?
Sure.
All right.
Yeah.
We're sunshine.
Iya day. Gov, so all the GFD is going to be fighting to get the detail down there to Tumon for. That's going to be like our Baywatch, right? So only the sexy firemen. They got to wear like the short shorts.
It's really a nice thing. They get to sleep there and put their equipment there. And man, I'm telling you, launching from Dedidu at another 25 minutes delay, right from there, it just makes sense. We have a police station there right now, but I think they can coexist. If not, the fire department is more needed there, because just down the road they have a police precinct there.
What?
So we want to do that. We want to get back into to getting Matapan Beach, our people's park, up to status.
Gov, in a like any given year, what's you guys' typical marketing budget?
And they get marketing. I
Yeah.
think $9 million, right, Jerry? For our
Yeah,
marketing. That's Japan only, I think, in a given year.
yeah, but I think Sabrina raised a good question of how the 20 million is going to be spent if we don't get it.
Yeah.
We only have destination to sell, right, which is Guam, and we need to fix our product. So if we don't fix our product, our marketing message will be of no use. And in the initial stages of marketing, keep in mind that this is going to be a slow ramp up from previous years' arrivals. And so we don't want to overspend in marketing and not, there's a point of diminishing returns. So we just need to be careful on sending out the right marketing message, but investing a lot more money than in the past to really improve our product. And this is not just the safety issues and the flooding, but also if we can recapitalize as much as possible our cultural assets around the island.
Yeah, we do have a lot of great cultural assets to expose for the tourists. So what's April 1st, tentative reopening? We're really pushing for this relationship with Taiwan. Anything on the Korean market?
Yeah, actually, the Korean market has been very. We look at Korean market as a little bit more nimble market compared to like Japan, and so we already have some indications. Actually, the carrier that I couldn't mention has put together tour packages with pricing and everything already for like May. So we're pretty bullish on the Korean market. But we've done some surveys also and have identified consumer segments that are more readily willing to travel, like among the younger people, the less risk averse people. With proper protocols in place, there's really no reason why we couldn't gun that market. But just in terms of managing expectations, we're not going to see, last year's numbers anytime soon. Okay, just because you put all this effort in marketing and improvement doesn't mean you're going to get those level of arrivals. As a matter of fact, everything that we even read on throughout the world, Guam is not unique in this thing. If you look at historically international travel, if you look at SARS a few years ago, and even the global recession in 1998 or thereabouts, those were just a little blimp. Those were just a little blimp compared to the COVID impact on international arrivals. We lost 1.1 billion travelers, COVID, globally. So to get back to those levels is going to take, several years. So I just want to manage expectations because just because we get all this money doesn't mean we're going to get pre-COVID numbers like in the next 2 to 3 years. It may take a lot more years than that, given the fact that the whole value chain of consumers and the tourism industry has been upended. Just a complete reconfiguration, so to speak, of the product, of the consumer mindset. And keep in mind that a lot of businesses are going bankrupt. And so there's also an income issue where people out of a job aren't going to be inclined to travel, right? So all of these things mixed together make for a longer recovery period than I think a lot of people would like to see, including me.
What about the variant? How do you think the variant and its prevalence, its increasing prevalence around the world is going to affect our reopening plans?
I can't speak to that because I'm not really an expert, but everything that I've heard and read about the variant is that the Pfizer and Moderna vaccines that are being rolled out now are somewhat protective of those variants.
I got that directly from a doctor when I got my second dose of Moderna. That you don't have to worry about the variant. That'll take care of it too.
Right on.
Right. I know. I checked Dr. Cabrera almost every day since he told us that they were doing the genomic sequencing. So as of yesterday, we haven't got the results from those 20 samples, so we still don't know anything in terms of it being on Guam.
Gov, what did you think of the senators getting the vaccine? I asked Senator Regell about it, and I think there was an editorial out. Do you think that was justified, or should they have opened it up for, frontline essential workers like hotel staff, people who come into contact with the public, grocery store workers, that kind of thing?
Well, naturally, without argument, I think those people that are actually with the public in their daily jobs, I know senators can recess, like I said, but the workers got to go to work. And so I think the governor has made that very well known that that the priorities are those that are going to be working in the general public.
You know, when we do reopen, are we still looking at plans for like the rapid testing at the airport for arrivals?
But there's a way to do something that you know, it depends on how far we've gone. We've got about 48,000 people vaccinated now, and I think there's only like less than 3,000 doses that are being set aside right now that we have on hand that's going to be used for second doses. So hopefully the amount coming in for February for March will be able to bring us up to like maybe 70,000 or 60,000 people. But there is a Binax now, I think is something that we could. It depends on how we've managed to, you know, whether we have a regressive thing on the opening up, whether we got more people infected again. But there is a way to test not only the people that are opening up at the hotels, for example, and their employees, but there's a way for you to be tested as a patron coming in for restaurants, etc. So there is a way that we can use a certain kind of an antigen test to be able to accomplish a better safety protocol outside of the PCR testing.
Yeah. You know, Sabrina, a couple of things I wanted just to reiterate, because I keep hearing this reopening. We never closed. Okay, so that might be a misnomer of a reopening. We never closed. But I think as far as the testing goes, that's what I was alluding to earlier about having a coherent, clear, risk proportionate policy for us to communicate to our market. And that would speak to a number of issues. Prior to coming to Guam, what are the requirements? You get pre-tested, you get vaccine, whatever it is. We just need to work with the public health folks to come up with a clear, coherent, easily understood policy that we can communicate. If we do that, and if we communicate the message that Guam is a safe destination to visit, then we're halfway there in terms of like, quote unquote, reopening the market in Korea and Japan, for example.
Can I bring up something, guys? You know, I kind of coined this phrase, but people were wondering that people in Japan, Korea, and other places are having a hard time, even the Philippines, getting vaccinations. So, you know, we have a 45-day visa waiver for Japan, Korea, Taiwan, and hopefully that we can say, come for 30 days. Come here for Airbnb, and you can stay the 30 days, get both doses of vaccine, and if they have already put it out for the private clinics can administer it. Hopefully by that time, we can even market that. Come and get your vaccination.
Airbnb.
Who thought of that?
Yep. Is that 20 million worth right there?
Is there what, $20 million for that?
That's good marketing. Good marketing.
Airbnb. So, Jerry, this coherent policy that you were referring to with and guidance from public health, is this something that you guys are hoping will be done by April 1st, or does it really matter since we're not really anticipating
it matters
people
a lot.
Okay.
It matters a lot. What we've been doing actually is we looked at the universe of other islands. Okay, look at the Caribbean. You know, the Caribbean Tourism Organization, and there are 24 countries and a whole bunch of islands. Okay, they're starting to get 20 or 30% of their business back. Cozumel, Cancun is on fire now in terms of getting their business back. Now, we don't want to be that wild, right? Because there's still that issue with the U.S. market coming in there. But even the Canary Islands, okay, they've got like 50 to 60% of their business back already. And so what we've done is looked at all these different islands and what their arrival protocols are. And we've created kind of a proxy that is reflective of what these islands are doing. And we're going to use that as the basis to discuss with the physicians group and public health and see if we can come up with our Guam policy, right? that is based out of this proxy that we've gotten from the different islands. And so that's kind of the issue, because going back to what I call risk proportionate policy, that means that whatever testing, whatever requirements you have is low risk in relation to the benefit of having them visit the island. This is very similar. Remember last June, when we're talking about if you arrive from Guam, stay less than 5 days, you don't need to have a test and all this kind of stuff. So this is basically circling back to something similar to that. Only what we've done is we've created a proxy policy based on what we've gotten from these other islands that are opening up their places for tourists, because these islands are tourist dependent as well.
So the goal and the hope is to have this policy approved by public health.
The goal is to have a
April.
conversation. Yeah, the goal is to have a conversation as soon as possible this week, next week, with public health, the governor's office, physicians group, whoever is shaping this policy. But the goal is to have a risk proportionate policy that is more tourism friendly than our policy is today.
What part of the policies today are not tourism friendly?
Well, there are a couple issues. The required testing to go back to Japan might be an issue with the other countries, okay? But that's there. But if we can have a policy here, some of these islands, okay, if you have vaccine, if you can prove vaccination already, then you don't need to go into quarantine. Or if you have a pre-test and you come here within a certain number of days, then you're free to go into your accommodations. So there are different ways that can be congealed, basically, to make it more easy for visitors to understand what they need when they get here, or do they need anything before they get here. Yeah. That's not clear. I mean, we've got like 32 PCR tests, for example, from Taiwan, Japan, and Korea that public health had indicated or acceptable. But, that communication by email is not enough. We need an official letter for that we can share with, how it is. I mean, if you tell people in Japan or Korea that the government approves this, they want proof. They want to see document, right? Those are some of the details that we need to do, because it's not good enough to let them know that this is acceptable based on an email communication.
Like, I've been hearing things like safe zones. Do you know anything about that, like creating safe zones for tourists?
I'm not sure I understand what you mean by safe zones.
Kind of like your bubble concept.
Right. No.
Well, we are actually working to make Guam a safe zone, guys. I mean, that's the end goal. Because that's the message that we need to communicate to our markets. Mm-hmm. You come to Guam, Guam is a safe destination.
Mm-hmm. So having said that, then this coherent policy, it's a little over a month away from April 1st. Are you guys going to have this done by then? Is that the goal, to have this coherent policy done by then? April 1?
Yeah. I don't see really, it's just a matter of people sitting down and talking through the issues and arriving at some conclusion. But keep putting it away or keep pulling it aside for another day. At some point, you gotta, or get off the pot, right?
All right.
Yeah.
You guys was that an oversight hearing this week or a hearing?
No, there's supposed to be like an information hearing, I think, tomorrow. So I may need to check out in a few minutes here so I can get to work on that.
What are you anticipating is going to happen at the hearing?
I have no idea. It's just an informational hearing, so we'll give them what we believe is important information, and obviously the senators are, free to ask questions. But
or they could just watch this interview. And,
I'm sorry.
or they could just watch this interview.
Good interview.
Right. Okay.
Nice question.
Yeah.
Thanks a lot.
Thank you, Governor.
You.
Thank you, Jerry.
Thank you.
Okay, we'll see you guys.
Cheers.
Thank you.
Okay, and don't forget we're gonna interview Keisha and about the Baywatch.
Yeah, Jerry and I will remind them when we get down there.
Okay, Esther. Right. What?
That's so cool, though.
So
I think it
what is
would
it?
be.
They're gonna be like a fireman's quarters there at Matapang Beach with a jet ski launch.
When you go to Matapang, though, because when you drive in the parking lot, it's always that puddle, right? It's always there. And then you've got the, is it still there? The zoo?
Cushing Zoo?
Yeah, is it still there?
Cushing Zoo is still there. They're still operating.
Wow.
I wonder if they're going to put money into the zoo as well.
Right.
I think it was the last legislature, definitely not this one, but I believe the last legislature, they finally, after so many years, they believe they cleared the way for it to be recognized as a preservable part of the island. Like, this is one of the parts where we have to keep pristine because this is a historical part of Guam.
Mm-hmm.
I know I was talking to Mr. and Mrs. Cushing about this, and they were like, yeah, we're not really trying to push for it. We just we want to care for these animals and we want to help it out. But I mean, everybody knows Cushing Zoo.
Yeah.
Right.
Even the coherent policy. I'm interested to see if that's going to be done by April 1.
Right. Guys, we're going to take a break. It's 8:33. Here's more info on Uno Go on the link. Good morning.
Uno Go has arrived and is here. Uno Go has arrived and is here to deliver you food from your favorite restaurant in a safe, reliable, and fast way. Choose from a variety of restaurants island-wide and track your orders in real time with quick deliveries whenever your cravings kick in. Plus, sanitized vehicles, reliable drivers, and safety seals for your peace of mind. Make the dash to Uno Go. Visit uno-go.com or download the app at the App Store or Google Play. Uno Go, delivering Guam on demand.
Half a day. Does your child have a hearing loss? We are parents of deaf and hard of hearing children and volunteers with Guam's Positive Parents Together, and we are here for you. We know how you feel and have walked in your shoes. We want to help you navigate your way through our educational and medical systems, and most especially, your emotional journey. Please visit us at www.guamparents.org for more information.
GU Self-Storage, conveniently located near the Harmon McDonald's. We offer affordable rates, online payments, and auto bill pay for your convenience. Plus gate access daily from 6 a.m. to 9 p.m. Call us today at 648-7867 for more information.
Only one company on Guam provides every solar energy solution under one roof. Micronesia Renewable Energy. You want solar only? They got that. You want solar with batteries? They got that too. You want outright purchase or lease purchase? It's up to you. Does your solar system need a tune-up? That's what they do. For solar energy solutions from A to Z, you can count on MRE. Give them a call at 632-2613 for a free consultation. MRE, providing real solar solutions built by real solar experts.
The relationship between Guam and Manila, Philippines is undeniable as we share similar cultural traditions, history, and heritage, with generations of Filipinos calling Guam home. KUAM presents a monthly look at the capital city featuring in-depth and engaging interviews on everything from medical tourism to new business and government leaders. Veteran newscaster Nestor Lecanto delivers Beyond Our Borders. This special program is brought to you by the Bank of Guam and KFC.
We got your 6
at 6 a.m. with the link on Breeze 93.9 FM. Bree and I connect you with all the latest news and information you need to know to start your day.
Then check back with Guam's news leader at 6 p.m. for the day's top headlines with KUAM News Primetime.
From 6 a.m. to 6 p.m. and everything else in between with KUAM Digital, we got your 6.
Something told me it was over when I saw you and her talking. Something deep down in my soul said a cry.
Hey, good morning, 8:37. Good morning. It's a link.
When I saw you and that girl.
Bree, I was joking around earlier.
You joking?
I know. But you know, we have a hard time getting the Gov and Lieutenant Gov on the show. I was thinking, what if we do a GoFundMe, a little $500 donation to the fundraiser, and then we get, because I don't know, what do you think? Jay got $7. I got 5. That's 12. He's got $7.30. Joe, sir, what you got? 5. $5. Okay. Slowly, we're gonna make our goal. Yeah, guys, we were talking about this earlier. There's a big fundraiser tomorrow at the Hyatt here for the re-election effort of the governor and lieutenant governor. We kind of just been joking around with people coming on the show, like, "Are you going?" I think Jerry really took the cake this morning when he said, "Oh, only if Uncle Carl is treating." That's $1,000 dinner date right there. 8:38. I don't know. Did you get any tickets to that, Lillian?
No, we have a board of trustee meeting tomorrow night, so I'm not be able to.
Hiya, Day.
Welcome back.
Lillian Posada's here. Welcome back, Lillian. We missed you.
Yeah.
But I miss you all. In 5 weeks, I was gone for 5 weeks.
Wow.
Well deserved.
Yeah.
Well deserved.
It was for medical reasons, so
Right.
I had to do it.
Right.
Yeah.
Still, at least you got, some rest, right?
I did. That's what I was just telling Jason. I got caught up with my sleep. So
That's really good. Are the numbers right? I mean, do you still do the census and stuff, Lillian? What's going on? Could we just kind of start there? Like, what's going on with the census at GMH?
Yeah, we are really on a steady state of condition here. Our census has been low, which is, we're very thankful, and we feel that it's promising that the COVID is getting to a point where it's under control and we're managing it as a community. So the census has been at a steady state of 3 since last week and over the weekend. This morning, however, we did pick up on 1 individual who came in, so we are now at 4. 2 of those individuals are in the intensive care level of care and are on ventilator support, and the other 2 individuals are on a telemetry level of care. So they're all pretty stable.
What about non-COVID?
Non-COVID census has picked up. The ICU, though, it's steady, it's low, but the cardiac monitoring and the medical surgical non-COVID census has picked up. We are over 100 in that area of our patient census.
What are some of the things that are going to be discussed at the Board of Trustees meeting tomorrow?
Well, for one thing, because the budget is due to the legislature at the end of March, so that's one of them. The ongoing project of the electronic health record system, that's coming along. There's quite a bit of discussion. The alternate care site that has been approved by FEMA, we're just now waiting for the funds that's been obligated. The situation with the travel nurse, we're going to discuss that tomorrow. What our plans are going to be. and bringing back, we've already brought some of the normalcy in terms of elective surgeries. We're doing some elective surgeries already because, we need to get going back with that. So, several other issues. I just don't have the agenda with me in front of me, but
if you could, what's the situation with the travel nurse?
Well, right now, because our census has come down, we have decreased in our requests for travel nurses, but we still are utilizing them, in the ICU area, in the telemetry, and in the emergency room.
Have we paid out for all of the travel nurses, the contracts?
No, we're still pending some invoices that we need to pay, and we're waiting for the FEMA public assistant reimbursement that we requested. And so I'm informed that has been approved. It's just now waiting for the funds to then be transmitted.
But we're not behind or anything like that in paying?
We are.
Oh, we are.
We are behind.
How far behind are we in paying out this contract?
I don't know the number of invoices that we are far behind, but we are behind in terms of, I believe, $3 million that we owe the companies. So, yes.
Are they threatening to say we just can't send any more travel nurses, or?
No, they're not threatening us because they understand our situation. In fact, we have a 9 o'clock conference call with them to discuss it further. And the other option that we're looking at is, since we're kind of behind now the crisis situation, and so perhaps we can renegotiate the rate that they are charging us. So we're hoping that we can decrease the costs.
So, I'm sorry, did I miss? Do we still have travel nurses here?
Yes,
we have travel nurses.
Okay.
We just are behind in
paying them, right? So does that jeopardize any future effort to secure them? I know they're not threatening, right? But are they going to be like, hey, you got to pay your balance before we send anyone else?
Right. Sure. I mean, and it is right. It's rightfully so. We have to pay for the services that they provide. So, yes, we are diligently going after the funds to make sure we pay them.
And is the reason why we're behind is because of we're waiting for FEMA, or?
Well, yes, we're waiting for the funding. In our initial discussion with FEMA, they did assure us that they will expedite the documents and the paperwork and the requests and the reimbursement. So, but they're tied up too with all that's going on at the national level.
Right.
So.
But has FEMA given an indication on when they would be releasing these funds or providing these funds?
There's no specific date, specific time, but the communication is open, and they are letting us know that it's forthcoming. So,
okay,
yeah.
The alternate care site. This is the SNF, the skilled nursing facility. Yeah, what's the update on that?
Well, we are working with the contractor to begin the process of isolating one of the wings. And we're also looking to bring back the skilled nursing unit residents who are temporarily housed at the Catholic Social Service Facility. We're looking to see maybe in about mid-March, depending on this PCOR 3, what happens if there's going to be a surge. We want to still keep it readily available, that if the numbers pick up, we have that facility ready to open up. But we are also seriously thinking of, if how the outcome is of this PCOR 3, that then we can move those residents back to a safer facility. Not that it's not safe, it's just temporary. But if in the event, again, we have a typhoon, we just really need to get those patients in a safe.
Lillian, what about the blue med tents? They've been taken down, right? And then are they readily available just in case?
Yes, it still is readily available, and that's why we're monitoring with this PCOR 3 that if there is a surge, we have the Blue Met tent also. So we're monitoring the situation with the P-Core-3.
Well,
But can we talk?
Yeah,
Go ahead.
No, I know you wanted to talk about this public health emergency bill.
Yeah, I'm just, disappointed and disheartened that the legislature feel that they need to exercise their authority to, automatically terminate a public health, the declaration of a state of emergency when really there is already in existence in the law that they can terminate. And I don't think there's a need for this bill to be put up front. And perhaps maybe the businesses are pressuring the senators to do something. But if they really look at the bigger picture here, that if it had gone into termination of the state of emergency, we would have seen more hospitalizations. We would have seen more individuals sick with the COVID, needing hospitalization, and probably we would have seen more deaths. We would have had more deaths in our community. So I rather that the legislature take a more collaborative, cooperative, working relationship with the governor. That recognizing that the governor had to declare the state of emergency and had to sustain it. And she was meeting with medical professionals to give her guidance, using science and data to guide her decision. She wasn't acting in an arbitrary fashion or in a capricious fashion as what they stated in this bill. Again, it just doesn't help the relationship. We needed to take action. We needed to make decisive action, and we needed to come together to quickly make decisions as far as how we are going to respond to this COVID. And it's not just this COVID. If we are in a state of emergency, public health emergency, it could be something else. But again, I just was hoping that the leadership of the legislature would take a more collaborative and cooperative approach, and not that calling the governor that the governor was acting in a capricious and arbitrary fashion when it wasn't. That's not the case. She had a medical advisory group that was guiding her, and she was using data and science to make decisions in the best interest for the island, for Guam. Not just for a few groups of people, but for the whole island of Guam.
Lillian, what would you say to those people who are watching this and listening to this and saying, oh, well, you're in the governor's cabinet, of course you're going to say that?
Not necessarily because of that. From my perspective as a nurse, and from my perspective as far as handling the hospital situation and what we were going through in the hospital, the staff, the nurses were exhausted, the doctors, we were limited with resources. If the businesses or everything was kept, if we didn't have this extended declaration of emergency and open up everything, we would have had more sicker individuals. And it doesn't matter whether I'm a cabinet member. I'm coming from a perspective from the standpoint of being a registered nurse and here in the hospital, seeing what has happened and seeing what could have happened if the declaration of the state of emergency was then ended. It's just just not the prudent thing to do.
Right. Yeah, but Lillian, you talk about, you wish these lawmakers would be more collaborative, and work together. But at the same time, then how would you respond to the legislature who would say the same thing of the governor, that she needed to be more collaborative, she needed to be more transparent? Because, at the beginning of the pandemic, we heard from the mayors, and they're like, we don't know what's going on. She hasn't, talked to us. She hasn't, we're the frontliners in the community. The legislature, they passed bills, became laws for her to be more transparent. So how would you respond to that?
Well, she was transparent, and there was that communication. But here again, for me, rather than sitting back and saying, well, the governor isn't telling me anything, I would take that approach as a mayor. Okay, governor, what is it that we need to do as a community? Own up to it and take the initiative to say, hey, we're here. We're here to work together. Don't just sit back and complain on why the governor didn't call me. The governor didn't talk to me. Come on.
Yeah.
We're officials, we're leaders.
Right, we're leaders, but at the same time, like the Physicians Advisory Group, senators were banned, the public's banned from attending it. So the only people that get to attend it is the governor.
With the Physician Advisory Group?
Yeah.
Right, you said that she gets her advice from the medical professionals, from the Physicians Advisory Group. You talk about collaborative, you know, and transparency. And we heard it from the oversight chair when Senator and now Speaker Therese Lahi, she had made attempts to participate and be involved and to hear, you know, the physicians.
I mean, she couldn't even go to the meeting.
Yeah.
It's crazy.
So I'm just pointing that out.
Yeah, no, Lillian, I get what you're saying, that as a nurse, you feel like, you know, the governor acted prudently, but that, you don't mean that everything was perfect. Do you agree that there were some areas of improvement? And if so, which areas are those?
Well, absolutely. We're human beings. We're not perfect. I'm not perfect. And so, yes, there are, you know, areas that we can certainly improve. Absolutely. And this thing is new, very unprecedented, very new. A lot of us, you know, there was so much uncertainty. And so, yes, there certainly can be. But, you know, there was that, I think the governor was having, if not 2 times or 3 times a week, press conferences with the media. And so there was that communication that was available for information and for questions to be asked. So, you know, again, it wasn't being transparent. We were there, I was meeting with the governor and the other agencies, and we were in communication.
I think that
let's not do this blame game.
Oh, yeah. No, we're not blaming anybody. I'm just saying that, I mean, when you talk about press conferences, they had 3 press conferences in the last 6 months, I think. So, and I know there were some in the height of it, but Lillian, I mean, I get where you're coming from, and I get, you know, that's your perspective, but we're just saying that we don't live in a dictatorship, and I'm not one of those like, oh, the governor's a dictator, but I'm saying, like with the Physicians Advisory Group, public couldn't attend the meetings.
The legislature.
I mean, we have a senator has in charge an oversight of the health committee. She couldn't even go in the meeting. And at the very least, I feel like if the governor's going to make those kind of decisions and had people been able to be a fly on the wall or watch any of these meetings or see any of the behind the scenes of what led to these decisions, then maybe they wouldn't be saying that the decisions were arbitrary and capricious. They would be saying like, oh, that's why they said it, because Dr. So-and-so. And so you see, when there's this whole process that is not, I mean, maybe shrouded in secrecy is not the right way to put it, but when there's no public accessibility, then if we don't understand the math that went behind, like say, for example, allowing game rooms to open but not other establishments or whatever, then of course people are going to be like, there's no rhyme or reason. So do you think that with more transparency that would kind of throw water on some of these arguments, or even accessibility?
Well, if I could also just share our experience here in the hospital, things were happening very fast, and decisions needed to be made quickly by a few of us. But then we get back, so not everybody, we couldn't get everybody all in the same room to discuss it, to hash it out, and to make decisions. We had to make decisions, and we had to make changes quickly here in the hospital. And so, you know, it's not anything personal against anybody. It's just that things were happening fast. And so that was what was going on with this COVID. And it's, you know, people just try not to take it personally, but hey, you know, these are the issues. These are what we have to deal with. This is what we need to do, to decide, to take action.
Right.
So how about Bill 13?
Bill 13, what's Bill 13?
The nurse licensure compact bill.
Yeah.
It passed.
Well, from Senator Mary Torres that it got passed. So that's a good sign. It's a good thing. So we thank the legislature for supporting that.
Why did it seem like this measure was like kind of controversial?
Which one, the nurse licensure?
Nurse licensure. There was an argument that it would allow nurses on Guam to go out to other jurisdictions where they can make more money, but we got low nurses pay here, right? So there's also, I think, a measure to do something with the nurses pay. But was this kind of a no-brainer for you, Lillian, the nurse licensure thing? Because I know we had you on before about it.
Well, you know, it's really going to benefit the island. For the argument that we're going to lose more nurses, we've been losing nurses. You know, nurses leave. on their own volition. But the benefit is that we're able to then bring in more nurses at a much more expedient process. And it encourages, and as I pointed out, the military community. There are nurses there who are active duty, and there are also spouses of active duty personnel who are registered nurses. And they get deterred by the process of having to apply for a new license here in Guam to practice. But because they have license to practice in other states, who may be part of the members of this compact, then they can, begin the process of working here in the community outside of their military health facilities at a much quicker process. And so that's going to be one of the big benefits. And, again, the argument that nurses are going to leave, they've already been leaving. For many years they leave. That's why we continue to have this nursing shortage.
Man, Lillian, we did get this. Have you seen this text that's going around about you in the quarantine?
About me in the quarantine?
It's something, I don't want to, because it's like some of it's like medical, but there's a text going around about you were able to skip quarantine, but you're essential, right?
Oh, okay, no, I haven't seen that text, but you know what? Okay, fine. I requested for an exemption, because I have to come back to work at the hospital. But I went through the process of testing before I left Guam, and I completed my vaccination, the first and second dose. My husband completed his first dose. We got tested before we left the Taiwan hospital. And I came to be cleared here at the hospital by the employee health nurse. And if I needed to be tested, I said, let me go through the testing process. So, I went through the process to make sure that I am not one of those asymptomatic COVID patients, but I also have the vaccine. I was vaccinated, and so was my husband. So, people can make their judgment, but they don't have all the facts. But here are the facts. I was tested several times.
Thank you. That's why all we can do is ask,
Thanks,
right?
Lynn.
So there you go. So if you didn't have all the facts, there's the rest of it right there.
Right. Yeah.
I did want to ask a follow-up on something that the governor had mentioned last week when she was asked by the media about the plans for the new hospital. Is there anything else that you can tell us about the plans for the new hospital? Possibly, I guess the governor's eyeing Eagles Field.
That's one of the military property that they're going to be returning to government of Guam. That's one of them, and I understand there's another one up in southern Finnegajan, and I believe down in Nimitz. But from my point of view, the Eagles Field is centrally located, and so that will be my preference. We haven't been able to go back to regroup with the task force with GITA to continue the dialogue and the planning. But that is what we're, maybe once we really are very stable with the situation with the COVID, we can refocus our energies and our, time to then really start talking and planning for the new hospital.
All right. Anything else going on at GMH that you can share with us? Lots. I can imagine.
We've launched our telehealth, our telemedicine, and so that's been very helpful. And so it's always something going on at the hospital.
Yeah.
Oh, what about visiting? Someone was commenting our visiting hours. Have we changed the policy?
Well, we just discussed that yesterday at the executive management, that we are looking to relax on some of the restrictions, particularly for patients who are age 75 and older. We can allow, who are non-COVID, we can allow a family member to be with their loved one who is 75 years old and older. But we're still also trying to get through some of the logistics, such as a waiver form. We're not going to require that family member to go through COVID testing, but just some of the logistics of it, the details. And we'll get that once we have it solidified today at our huddle with the directors. Then we'll communicate that out.
Are you looking possibly by the end of the week to make announcements about the visitation change, policy change?
Right. We're looking to get that by the end of this week.
Okay. Thanks, Lillian. Good to see you.
Thank you,
Good to see you
Lillian.
all. Glad to be home.
Right on. Take it easy.
Take care.
Yes,
Take
there
care.
you
Bye-bye.
go. It's 9 o'clock. We're KUAM-FM. I got Guam. Yeah, and so, people see things, right? So, and I guess that message that was going around was like someone saw Lillian at the airport and they were escorted out of quarantine. But, people can question whatever they want to question.
Mm-hmm.
And if we get those concerns, then if we have an opportunity to ask, then we're going to do it.
Yeah. And Lillian isn't shying away from that.
Right. It's not like she's like, oh, my God, where'd you get that info? You know what I mean? Some people are more inclined to shoot the messenger than to actually pay attention to what the message is. So I don't think Lillian's one of those, though. Again, we'll take a break, and we're back with Mark Scott of the Guam National Guard. There was a bulletin that went out yesterday, Bree, about a vaccine dose shortage, and so we'll talk with Mark Scott about that.
For the Guard?
Yeah,
Oh.
on the Guard side. That's coming up next right here on The Link.
Half a day. Does your child have a hearing loss? We are parents of deaf and hard of hearing children and volunteers with Guam's Positive Parents Together, and we are here for you. We know how you feel and have walked in your shoes. We want to help you navigate your way through our educational and medical systems, and most especially, your emotional journey. Please visit us at www.guamparents.org for more information.
As restaurants and bars decide to open, consider these tips to protect employees, customers, and communities and slow the spread of COVID-19. Urge employees to stay home if they feel unwell. Require employees to frequently wash their hands, especially before, during, and after preparing food and after touching garbage. Wash hands with soap and water for at least 20 seconds. Have employees wear masks if feasible. Have enough supplies to support healthy hygiene, including soap, hand sanitizer, paper towels, disinfectant wipes, masks, and no-touch trash cans. Clean and disinfect frequently touched surfaces like door handles, phones, cash registers, bathrooms, chairs, tables, and countertops. Use disposable food service items to limit sharing of items like menus, utensils, and condiments. Use touchless payment options to avoid direct hand-to-hand contact between customers and employees. Encourage customers to use drive-through, delivery, or takeout options. When seating customers, prioritize outdoor seating. Change the layout of tables or chairs to make sure parties are spaced at least 6 feet apart. Consider installing barriers, such as sneeze guards or partitions, at cash registers, host stands, or where staying at least 6 feet apart may be difficult. Avoid large gatherings and discourage crowded waiting areas by using a phone app or text to let parties know when their table is ready. Rotate or stagger staff shifts and break times to limit the numbers of employees working at the same time. Remind staff to stay at least 6 feet away from each other and customers as much as possible. Post signs and posters to promote healthy hygiene habits among staff. Include messages about healthy hygiene when communicating with vendors and customers, such as in emails, on business websites, and on social media accounts. For more information and tips to consider, check out the link on the screen.
Only one company on Guam provides every solar energy solution under one roof. Micronesia Renewable Energy. You want solar only? They got that. You want solar with batteries? They got that too. You want outright purchase or lease purchase? It's up to you. Does your solar system need a tune-up? That's what they do. For solar energy solutions from A to Z, you can count on MRE. Give them a call at 632-2613 for a free consultation. MRE, providing real solar solutions built by real solar experts.
GU Self-Storage, conveniently located near the Harmon McDonald's. We offer affordable rates, online payments, and auto bill pay for your convenience. Plus gate access daily from 6 a.m. to 9 p.m. Call us today at 648-7867 for more information.
The relationship between Guam and Manila, Philippines is undeniable as we share similar cultural traditions, history, and heritage, with generations of Filipinos calling Guam home. KUAM presents a monthly look at the capital city featuring in-depth and engaging interviews on everything from medical tourism to new business and government leaders. Veteran newscaster Nestor Lecanto delivers Beyond Our Borders. This special program is brought to you by the Bank of Guam and KFC. Hungry? Grab your phone, open the app, make the order. Done! Satisfy your cravings in a safe, quick, convenient way. Make the dash to Uno Go now. uno-go.com or download at the App Store today.
We got your 6.
At 6 a.m. with the link on Breeze 93.9 FM. Bree and I connect you with all the latest news and information you need to know to start your day.
Then check back with Guam's news leader at 6 p.m. for the day's top headlines with KUAM News Primetime.
From 6 a.m. to 6 p.m. and everything else in between with KUAM Digital, we got your 6. Yep. We only play local music on the link. Jesse and Ruby, classic. They should teach this song in Guam history. It's 9/10, 23rd day of February here on the link. It's brought to you by Cabo Enterprises, IT&E, and Carrier. Morning, Sabrina.
Good morning.
In the Zoom room, Mark Scott from the Guam National Guard here. He is the PIO for the Guards. And you'd sent an advisory out yesterday, Mark. I was like, oh, what's this? Because it was entitled something about a dose shortage.
Right, yeah. So, over the weekend, the Joint Information Center, they had reported about the shortage of the vaccinations, and which led to Saturday's vaccination clinic at the UOG Cabo Fieldhouse being postponed. And so we wanted to bring you on the show, Mark, to kind of explain how this is all going to work, what calls are being done to notify people that were scheduled for Saturday that, they have to come at another time.
Yeah, hi, good morning, Chris and Bree. Good morning, Jason Joseph, people of Guam, Papa Day. You're right. So last Saturday, the JIC release came out notifying the folks of the projected dose shortage. So what I sent you guys yesterday was an FAQ sheet, a little frequently asked question, just to expand on that release that was put out. So as some people may know, due to the global demand, which is high, the national demand, which is high, and compounded with some severe weather that the states was having, it looks like we're gonna probably run out by Saturday, and we're talking about mostly Moderna. The bottom line here, guys, is that there's no need to panic. It's just a postponement, and there's some more doses expected to come in on March 5th. So it's a postponement. If you scheduled or you were prepared to come in on Saturday, all the way through until March 5th, while we're waiting for that next dose, you could just go ahead and schedule for a later date. The CDC put out that you're still good up to 6 weeks after your dose 1. So everyone that was due on Saturday this upcoming week is still going to be fine.
So they don't come on like Friday or anything like that.
So Pfizer, right? There's two different answers for this one. It gets a little tricky. For Pfizer, only 67 people are due for their dose 2 on Saturday. That's what we're tracking. So with such a smaller number, only 67 people, the Pfizer dose 2s, go ahead and come in early. You can come in up to 4 days early. Now, Moderna is the one where there's like 1,000 people due for their dose 2. That's the one that we can't accommodate because we'll be out. So we're encouraging everyone that was due on Saturday, the 27th, all the way up until the shipment comes, which is March 5th of next week, to go ahead and push it back to after the stuff arrives.
Okay. Is there like a QR code for that already out?
No. So there's no clinic with a QR code yet, because we don't want to start booking appointments until we're sure that a shipment arrives on March 5th. Mm-hmm. Now, what we can do is we can track that shipment as best we can. We can all be ready in place, all hands on deck for when it arrives and lands at the airport. And as soon as it does, we're back in action. The press releases will go out, the JIC releases will go out, we'll post the links, the QR codes, all those things. But we want to ensure that thing comes in first, expected on March 5th.
Yeah, I'm still looking for that FAQ. I don't think I ever
Oh, let me send it. Sorry.
Received it.
Yeah.
Here, I'm sending it to you right now.
Okay. And we can post that FAQ if you don't have it, Jace.
Sorry, I got it late yesterday afternoon.
Okay.
You should have it, Bree, right now in your WhatsApp.
I just sent it to you too, Bree. I sent it to you before the guard PIO sent it to you.
Yeah, so like again, the bottom line is that it's okay to take your dose 2 up to 42 days after your dose 1. No need to panic. We're going to be rescheduling. We're even looking at things like doing double shifts at the clinic to catch up. We're looking at things like borrowing some help from public health, so maybe do a double session at the clinic. Those are all the plans. And the other good news is that the governor actually emailed General Burnham. This was last week when we started seeing that we're going to be a little short. She emailed him asking for an advance on the shipment as soon as we knew. And General Perna from Operation Warp Speed, you guys might have heard of him.
Yes.
He replied saying that, hey, Guam, you guys are way out in front. He said, thank you for leading the way with operations because proportionally, we're way ahead. We're efficient at giving out the doses. And, this is really a result of us being efficient. We were able to get a lot of vaccines and arms, and I think we're number 4 in the country as far as being efficient in vaccinating people. So he said thanks for that. Unfortunately, due to the severe weather storms and stuff, we're not able to get you your advanced shipment. So she exhausted all her efforts. She tried the best she could, but we were told sorry by General Perna that we're just going to have to wait a few more days. But we're going to get extra doses for March to make up for these folks that would have to postpone.
For people that were supposed to come on Saturday, they made their appointments. Do they have to wait, or can they come in today, tomorrow, or Thursday or Friday? Can they walk in and try and get the second dose, or do you ultimately just recommend just wait and hang on?
Recommend just to wait. We can accept walk-ins if you're due on Saturday early, and I'll tell you why. Right now, when we look at the numbers, we know based on who is due for their dose 2, we know that we would run out on Saturday. So at the end of Friday night is when we'll close. We know that based on the numbers of who took their dose 1 and when they're due. If we were to allow everyone from Saturday to come in earlier in the week, we would not know exactly when we would run out. We might have to turn away a parking lot full of people at some unknown time, and that might create a lot of inconveniences for a lot of people. So rather than turn away the UOG parking lot full of people not knowing when we would turn out, we know exactly when we would run out of dose if we stick to your day. So unfortunately, we're not going to accept walk-ins early for Saturday for Moderna.
Okay, yeah, because I'm just reading it. It says Eventbrite is sold out. Eligible walk-ins will be accepted at a limited hourly rate on the JIC release.
Yeah, on the day that you're due. So if you're due Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday, Friday, yes, Eventbrite is sold out. But if you're due on these days, come on in. Saturday, we're just closed.
Okay. How many people were due on Saturday?
Over 1,000 for Moderna, and then Pfizer was 67. Yeah, and it is an inconvenience. We did the best we could to try to get the advanced shipment, but unfortunately, it wasn't possible. And again, just to reiterate again, the good news is that it's still okay. There's no loss of efficacy of the vaccine if you take it next week. So that's pretty much the message that we want to let people know, that it's still okay. Your vaccine is still good to go. Just have to wait another week.
Are we anticipating any further delays or shortages down the line, Mark?
According to General Pernin, no, actually we're seeing an increase, almost like a reward for Guam doing a good job getting so many people vaccinated. He's increased our allotment for the month of March. So we're going to have over 30,000 doses this upcoming month, which is the highest that we've received yet. It's the most we've gotten for any month. So that should more than cover this next few days of window while we wait.
Is that an increase in allotment for March? Is that a one-time deal? Or are we going to see, or any assurances provided that in April, May, we're going to see that same amount in terms of that increased allotment? Or is it going to go back to whatever it was we were receiving before?
We're going to hope they keep increasing it, because we need more and more as we go. And that's what we want. We're ready. Unfortunately, we're dependent on the global supply chain, the national supply chain, and our allotment. And public health does a great job of tracking, right? They do a great job of tracking who's due, how many we're going to need to vaccinate on a given day, and keeping track of that supply chain. And they do an excellent job of that. So even though we're still dependent on the global supply, all we can do is hope that the president's initiative, President Biden's initiative, to increase all of the production of the vaccines finds its way to Guam.
So you guys have put systems in place to ensure that we don't experience this again. Because it sounds like we gave out all these shots and oops, we forgot to plan.
Right.
To make sure.
Oh darn! We gave the senators. No. Now
You know what I mean?
Now
Like,
Tanana's not going to get hers.
I don't think that's what happened, Bree. I don't think it's a lack of planning. I think we are dependent on the supply. The global supply of the vaccine is the variable here.
Okay.
As to whether or not we have.
Is this like a guard issue, Mark, or is it more of a public health issue? Because I remember in the public health oversight hearing that they were talking, I think it was Senator Terlahi who said, hey, why haven't you guys reserved some of these doses? And they had indicated that they were starting to do that the day before the hearing or something. And so let's say they get 700.
It's a team
Go
effort.
ahead.
Yeah, if it's a public health or a guard issue, we are in support of public health like we've always been. I think you guys know by now that the Guard is always in support of a civil agency or a civil authority. So we do fall under the umbrella of public health. However, we help out where we can. We notify the people of things like this where we can in the spirit of teamwork, and it's one team, one fight. When it comes to the policy about supply and the distribution, that does fall under the umbrella of public health. And we mainly operate the UOG clinic rather than deal with the supply chain. But in the interest of notifying the people about what to expect, of course, it's all hands on deck and we all help each other out.
Okay, I think we got it.
Yeah, that was a safe answer. He's like, yep, hey, we're only following orders here. Go check public health. That's what I got. That's what I decoded from that. Blink twice if I'm right, Mark.
All right, Mark.
All right. Anything else, my friend? You going to
just thanks again. If I ever get a chance to do anything, it's to thank our community for doing the right thing and bringing down the CAR score. We're well ahead of the game. We're doing better than a lot of other places, thanks to you. And I got to plug my partners over here at the clinic, which is UOG, Public Health, and AmeriCorps, Serve Guam. We couldn't do it without you guys. Thank you all so much.
Right on. Thank you, Mark.
Just real quickly, now that we are in PCOR 3, any changes with the Guard?
Same as we talked about last time, Bree. We're looking at some of our other missions, and we're looking at drawing down, and those are conversations that the TAG and the governor and public health are all having. For example, we heard from our last caller that the Blue Med tents are going to be on standby in case there is another surge. But if there's not, then we can look at taking those down. We're looking at getting the workers down at the Dusitani and Deuce Beach Resort back into their jobs responsibly and in partnership with all the stakeholders, and making the changes to draw down or I guess reduce our forces as needed. Because the Guard is an emergency option. We're here to help when we're needed, and when it's no longer a crisis, such as like PCOR 3 and eventually PCOR 4, that's time for us to say thank you.
All right. Well, thank you.
No, thank you.
All right, guys.
All right. Thanks, Mark. Okay.
All right, guys. Have a good day. Take care.
Bye.
9:22. Good morning. It's the link. We'll take a quick break, and we're coming back with the Department of Ag. They got a whole bunch of stuff going on, and we'll definitely ask about the fisheries grants, status of that. All that coming up here on the link. Good morning. Brought to you by Cabo Enterprises, Carrier, and IT&E. And you remember we got the BK Big Fish and the Impossible Whopper, which are both Lent-friendly options available at Burger King.
As restaurants and bars decide to open, consider these tips to protect employees, customers, and communities and slow the spread of COVID-19. Urge employees to stay home if they feel unwell. Require employees to frequently wash their hands, especially before, during, and after preparing food and after touching garbage. Wash hands with soap and water for at least 20 seconds. Have employees wear masks if feasible. Have enough supplies to support healthy hygiene, including soap, hand sanitizer, paper towels, disinfectant wipes, masks, and no-touch trash cans. Clean and disinfect frequently touched surfaces like door handles, phones, cash registers, bathrooms, chairs, tables, and countertops. Use disposable food service items to limit sharing of items like menus, utensils, and condiments. Use touchless payment options to avoid direct hand-to-hand contact between customers and employees. Encourage customers to use drive-through, delivery, or takeout options. When seating customers, prioritize outdoor seating. Change the layout of tables or chairs to make sure parties are spaced at least 6 feet apart. Consider installing barriers, such as sneeze guards or partitions, at cash registers, host stands, or where staying at least 6 feet apart may be difficult. Avoid large gatherings and discourage crowded waiting areas by using a phone app or text to let parties know when their table is ready. Rotate or stagger staff shifts and break times to limit the numbers of employees working at the same time. Remind staff to stay at least 6 feet away from each other and customers as much as possible. Post signs and posters to promote healthy hygiene habits among staff. Include messages about healthy hygiene when communicating with vendors and customers, such as in emails, on business websites, and on social media accounts. For more information and tips to consider, check out the link on the screen.
GU Self-Storage, conveniently located near the Harmon McDonald's. We offer affordable rates, online payments, and auto bill pay for your convenience. Plus gate access daily from 6 a.m. to 9 p.m. Call us today at 648-7867 for more information.
Only one company on Guam provides every solar energy solution under one roof. Micronesia Renewable Energy. You want solar only? They got that. You want solar with batteries? They got that too. You want outright purchase or lease purchase? It's up to you. Does your solar system need a tune-up? That's what they do. For solar energy solutions from A to Z, you can count on MRE. Give them a call at 632-2613 for a free consultation. MRE, providing real solar solutions built by real solar experts.
Morning. Hey, good morning to our Facebook Live viewers. Also, we got an audio stream, Docomo Channel 10, and then we run the first half of the link on KUAM TV from 6 to 8 a.m. February 23rd. This is Big Ben and the Boys with Malesu. Good morning. 9:28. We'll go into the Zoom room where we have pretty much 70% of the Department of Agriculture standing by. Good morning, Chelsea. Good morning, Frank, Christine, Jathan. Good morning, everybody.
Good morning.
I mean, Chelsea, she's a maximizer. I say, hey, what do you got? You got an update? She's like, oh man, I got a lot of stuff. Can I bring some friends? So there you go. You got the staff, and we'll just go down the line with who you got and what they want to talk about. But Chelsea, we did have a question about the fisheries relief grant. I know that we've been tracking this with you from the registration process to what we anticipated would be the payouts, but can you just give us a status on that?
Sure. Actually, that's why I brought Frank in.
Oh, nice.
Frank's been leading it for us, and I wanted him to be able to provide that update.
Good morning, Frank.
Morning, everyone.
Hi, Frank.
Hi. So first off, the deadline to submit applications has been extended to March 31st, so you have until the end of the month. We urge all registered fishermen to submit applications to DAR either by hard copy or digital. So if you want to turn in digitally, you can come pick up an application here, fill it out here and turn it in, or you can take it home and fill it out and submit it back in our office. And you can even just take a picture of it and send it to us digitally, or you can download the 3 forms on our website at doag.guam.gov under the resources tab. And then you'll find the 3 forms, which is the application form, the affidavit, and the W-9. And once you fill it out, you can email it to our fisheries account, which is fisheries@doag.guam.gov. So then again, you can submit either the digital forms through there, or you can take a picture of the application that you completed and submit it there as well. And if you need any assistance filling it out or have any questions, you can call my direct line at 735-0288, 735-0288. My line is, it diverts calls to my cell phone, so if you have any questions, it'll just go straight to me, even if I'm not in the office.
So
if you're a registered fisherman and do not submit an application, please call my line or the office to withdraw your application. There'll be no questions asked if you request to withdraw. This will really help speed up the process for us to turn in these applications as well. We also have submitted the first batch of applications for the November 30th deadline, and the error-free applications are being processed thus far. And lastly, we're conducting outreach at popular fishing sites. One of our program coordinators, Veronica Salas, she'll be assisting anyone that needs help filling out applications or just to ask general or just answer general questions. Flyers will be circulated with the time and date information, or you can call the office or call my line for any further details.
Frank, so has anybody been paid out yet?
No one's been paid out yet.
So what has the delay been? Because I feel like we had, I don't know if it was the director or somebody on kind of recently, and it sounded like they were getting ready to cut checks.
Yeah, well, what I think it is that they're not only dealing with Guam, but they're also dealing with other states and territories as well. So maybe they're backed up with processing of applications, but that's all on the federal commission's part. We're just doing the legwork and processing the applications for them so that they can do their part and disperse the checks.
Has everybody else, though, been granted extensions like Guam?
If they request it, we need to, when we request an extension, we have to amend our spend plan, send it to the commission, who sends it to NOAA, who reviews and then approves, and then they notify us that our request to extend has been granted. I know that at least in the other territories, Saipan or CNMI and American Samoa are still kind of in the same process that we are, and I think it's the same stateside too, though.
Have other people been paid out in other territories?
I don't know that. We can find out. I think it would probably say it on the NOAA website.
Okay. And then you mentioned, Frank, that you're giving an opportunity for people to withdraw their applications. Does that mean, I'm guessing that maybe you think some people have filled out applications trying to get a grant that maybe they weren't entitled to?
Yeah, so there's the parts. The first part was the registration, and then the second part was the application. So perhaps there are people who registered and maybe they don't feel like they need the assistance anymore. So maybe they just didn't want to turn in an application, at all. So, if for any reason that you don't want to turn in an application, but you are registered, please just call us and let us know, and it'll really help us speed up processing these applications. Because right now we have 800 registered fishermen and we only have about 200 people turning in applications. And it's kind of hard for us to follow our spend plan when we have only that many applications, but we have this many registered fishermen.
Has there been any communication between your agency and NOAA or the federal government on this delay in payment for the people that have met all the requirements, have turned in all the paperwork? Or go ahead.
Well, we shot them an email about it. We're kind of waiting for their follow-up response. We did get a call this week from one of the commercial fishers who's kind of expecting a big chunk of money. So we understand why they're eager for that follow-up or for that payment. And so on their behalf, we emailed the commission to ask, because in our mind, the checks go directly to the fisher. So we don't always know if they've been paid out yet or, well, I guess because we also haven't had that experience yet. So I'm hoping they also the commission sends us a list or an update of who they've paid out so that we can follow up with that.
So it's not too late to register. We had a comment from Gary Uggan here on our Facebook Live. The deadline's been extended to March, what was it again, Frank?
31st.
March 31st. To 2 p.m. The application is available on
doag.guam.gov.
Are there any, now that we're in PCOR 3, can people come by your offices, Chelsea, and pick up maybe a hard copy application? Because I know a lot of fishermen and maybe not the most internet savvy.
Yes, absolutely.
Right on. Okay, so you can do that.
And like Frank mentioned, though, we also have Veronica, who's been going out to fishing sites. She's been at Boat Basin, she's been at Agate Marina, waiting for people to come in so that she can help them fill out forms if they need that too.
Wow. So a little bit of outreach there.
Yeah, she's been doing I think at least three times a week, all day long.
Wow. Hi, Christine. Christine, of course, the Forestry Division chief, right? So what do you got for us this morning, Christine?
My opening
Yeah.
is, well, Chelsea asked us to come up and just talk about the projects. So we are already in the phases of trying to secure the accounts for vendors. So we have our remote automated weather station that the fire program got funding for this year. So that, again, we'll put a weather station down south, which will communicate with our NOAA partners over at the weather office. So NWS, Department of Ag, Forestry, we're going to work together on getting that equipment set up with the technicians. And from there, we'll be able to get real-time data in the field for the South. So that's a big one. We're really excited because it'll provide info for an area that hasn't been delivering any kind of real-time weather data for years. And then we also have the investigation training that will resume. So from that, we're going to have the development of the SOP that brings all of the partners to the table when it comes to wildfire investigation. We have a great fire committee right now with all of the fire partners on island, but what we needed was that driving document, that the agreement that brings us out when there's a fire. Because right now the way it works is fire comes up, forestry shows up, I make phone calls, I'm like, hey chief, whether it's fire department, Navy, and then law enforcement, both our DOAG conservation officers and or the police department. We all came to the table for fire training because it required the investigation side, which is also communicating with witnesses, taking statements, and this really showed a strong collaboration that's possible and effective when put to play. So we've already started investigating a couple fires for this season. And so we can't talk much about that. They're still active. But just know that for wildfires, we had the law, we got the curriculum, we've got the fire danger rating signs going up, and we have investigations taking place. So if you see something, know something, say something. And we're gonna keep repeating that. The police department came up with a great slogan. We're gonna keep using it. Because it applies. Wildfires are a crime.
You can't really use Munga Masongi anymore because marijuana is legal.
Oh no, we're gonna don't take away our fire campaign slogan. Munga Masongi Guam, don't burn Guam.
Right.
It's the education's out there, and it's not about the arson law and the addition of negligent burning and criminal mischief in the wildfire context. That wasn't about writing a citation for all of the neighbors in the village. It's just about raising awareness on your street.
Right.
Because that backyard fire, and we've seen it, we've heard it, burning in the backyard, burning close to the house, and wind. That's the one thing we've always repeated. You cannot control the weather. And everything that you put in place, if you're not getting the proper permit for the burn in the backyard, you're running the risk of a negligent burning citation. If that fire escapes you and burns across the landscape, now you're really going to run, that charge goes up. So it's just raising awareness and making sure that our community stays informed.
Christine,
and then, of course, we have all of our other forestry projects.
Right, but just going back to the wildfire thing, there's a fire I saw on Cross Island, right? That's a real big trouble spot. And I think I saw, was it Monica commented on our feed yesterday that there's been a few grass fires, right?
Yes. So
burning.
Yeah, and you'll notice, like in the back, there are historical sites. We say historical meaning in the context of use over time. Right. So the sites that have been burning have been known to be agriculture properties, to include regularly hunted properties. Right. So there could be a combination of something happening there, and we need to make sure that awareness is being made across the island that there are proper permits for things. Proper meaning there's a burn permit for backyard, or if you're going to do burning in your backyard, there's a permit for that you secure with the Guam Fire Department. If it's an agriculture burn, then you have to come to the Department of Agriculture, and that burn is specifically for agricultural purposes. And we haven't issued a single agriculture burn permit in the 6 years I've been here.
Well, let me ask you this. So everybody always says, oh, you know who's burning it's the hunters. They burn it so the, Venado come out and they eat the new growth. That being said, has there been any, because that kind of falls under you guys too, has there been any like outreach with the hunters or anything?
Oh, yeah. Over the years, we've had, that's been a shared effort, actually,
Right.
shared agency effort across the Bureau of Statistics and Plans, Department of Agriculture, DAR, the divisions every division within agriculture has participated in the outreach. And we all know the big one, right? It's the pig hunting derby. That really started the conversation on a broader scale, getting people who've never been involved in a hunting discussion part of the discussion. So that's one of our long time running ones. And then I know DAR has a number of outreach projects that they do for education and outreach. For forestry, what we have done is our forest stewardship program. That's the program that works with private landowners. We can grow native trees or include agroforestry in the selection of trees to help address a resource concern on your property. Now, the reason I mentioned FSP, Forest Stewardship Program, is that we are also going to be reaching out, working with our soil and water conservation districts to have little mini workshops. And these workshops are small. We're talking backyard, and we'll have several of them. This is the way that we will address the other issues with fire and invasive species, ungulate issues. It's going to be a broad spectrum type of outreach, but it'll also give me, as putting on the fire manager hat again, the opportunity to talk about use of fire on the land and proper permitting. So we do have plans in place, and we've been waiting for everything to open up so we can move beyond just a digital delivery and be able to get back into the yards and the field.
By any chance, do you have any information on that? It looked like a huge fire, maybe a grass fire down in Umatic over the weekend.
Oh, so we weren't called out for that one. It did pop up on, we'll definitely see it on the fire mapping. And so when I get that information, when we get the full scale of how much burned, I can report that out. Okay. But the crew wasn't called for that fire. But they were fighting fire in Arahan, in Orda. So they were busy. There were a number of fires, and they even went out to the solar farm out in the Lolo area.
So another part with having the crew there fighting the fire is that they've also, like Christine mentioned, been trained in the arson investigation component, and they've completed that first certification process. So now we're going to be pushing to have them recognized as first responders. I mean, they do all of the same work. It's just it's in rural rather than urban setting, but they're out there just as vigorously and putting their lives in danger every single time they're out there fighting fires. And now they also have that arson investigation component, which also is like a law enforcement capacity.
Isn't that crazy that they've been fighting fire all these years and they weren't classified as first responders?
Wow.
In the middle of it, nobody ever sees them because we're in the middle. Nobody notices the little green truck. We notice all the other vehicles, which, it's awesome, but it'd be great to really give the recognition to our crew as well. They're super humble. They're like ninja. They'll walk in, they'll go in, put a fire out, and leave.
Put a fire out with their broom. With that broom thing that
the broom, the brush beater, clapper,
right,
fire,
No, I wanted to see if Chelsea wanted to give a comment on Senator Clint Regell's bill on agricultural theft.
Yeah.
Oh yeah. One for ag.
Yeah, and the fact that there's. Go ahead.
It's beyond super needed, so we're grateful that it's introduced. We've been talking about this for a while. We drafted the legislation with his office. I mean, in total collaboration, we had farmers come in who were talking with John Borja about it. John's gone out to farms, and just the stories are horrific. I mean, the one that always stands out for me is the farmer who actually carved his initials in the hands of the bananas. And when they were stolen, he called the police and said, look, they're being sold and here's my mark. And the response was, well, how do you know that that's yours? Well, who else marks their bananas? And sometimes it's the people who they hire on a temporary basis to help, and then they come in at night and creep and steal. But so that's why the senator also introduced it in conjunction with the mandatory requirement that if you're selling produce, you need to be a bona fide farmer, so that other companies, hotels, restaurants, or even at the flea market, people aren't buying produce from unregulated farming practices. And when you have that certificate, it also ensures that you've gone through proper pesticide use training. I mean, we've seen some of the damage that is done with unregulated pesticide use, and it brings to mind that time when Senator Ben Pangilinan was still alive, and we found out that property up at Paget has now been contaminated for more than a decade and can't be used for more than a decade because of the illegal use of pesticides on that property. So ensuring that commercial entities and private users are buying produce from bona fide farmers protects the community, it protects the farmers from theft and the selling of their stolen crops. And now this will criminalize that act so that farmers can actually be compensated, and people can be held accountable for that.
Chelsea,
I mean,
what about
really comes to thousands of dollars.
Right.
I'm sorry, Chris, what was that?
I'm sorry, just so what you're saying about having to be a bona fide farmer, like, I mean, we've all done the thing where, harvest papaya and we go sell it to the Korean restaurant or whatever, right? So how would this bill, to your knowledge, affect those like very micro type farmers? They're not like the Woostig level where they've got acre, the other manhita or whatever. We're talking about like little people who, go sell this $20 a mango or this $20 a hot pepper.
Well, along the lines of when we were working on having this introduced, we've been working on updating the language so that a bona fide farmer can be someone who's working on like less than a quarter acre size property, and you're just growing things that you want to share with your community. Right. So there'll be different levels of bona fide certification.
Oh, cool. Jathan, Agriculture Development Services, because we're kind of running out of time here. Jason's got itchy feet to go. So, Jathan, go ahead. What did you have for us?
So the Guam Department of Agriculture has been awarded, Chris, $121,000 by the U.S. Department of Agriculture to increase the quality and quantity of locally grown foods. The goal is to support food insecure communities that import a significant amount of food. These funds will provide grants to qualifying applicants over a 3-year period. They will assist eligible farmers with gardening, herding, and livestock operations by competitively distributing subawards to eligible entities. So the 2 types of eligible entities can be individuals, farmers, ranchers, home gardeners, and they may apply for a maximum of $5,000 per year for a maximum of 3 years. And organizations, NGOs may apply for a maximum of $10,000 per year for a maximum of 3 years. As early as this coming Friday, an island-wide request for proposals will be issued, and that'll be posted on DOAG's website. And the requirements: applicants must have a bona fide farm certification and a registered DUNS number that they can obtain on the federal Gov Duns and Bradstreet website at fedgov.dmb.com. With that, an eligible entity may use funds to purchase gardening tools, equipment, soil amendments, seeds, plants, and other items necessary to grow and store food.
Jathan, so a home gardener can get a bona fide farmer certification?
Yes, they can. They can come into Department of Agriculture and our ADS division. They can request for a bona fide farm certification. An inspector will go out and inspect their farm or home garden, and as long as they meet the requirements, which are somewhat easy to meet, they can become a bona fide certified farmer.
What can you go back? What are some of the requirements?
Different requirements depending on the type of farmer you are. For small scale home gardening, the minimum of 50 fruit trees is required, depending on the type of fruit trees. Livestock, depending on the type of poultry or sows you need. So they can come in and look at the requirements and the criteria to become a bona fide farmer.
50 fruit trees?
Yes, sir. That's the minimum requirement for most home gardeners.
Wow. Okay. And so if you have 50 fruit trees, are you like just a home gardener, or are you like a farmer?
It can be both. We honor the intent to garden and grow food. So we're definitely here to work with the farmers and small scale gardeners to make sure that what they're trying to do, we're here to help. So
right,
and we're here to encourage farming and gardening. So
if
It
someone
doesn't necessarily need to be fruit trees like in the
Right.
ground. You can
Okay.
have fruit trees in pots too, and fruit trees do include puba.
oh nice, that was my grandma's favorite fruit.
There you go.
No, but
Grandma was a
Jathan,
farmer.
so the home gardeners, right? Just so I can be clear, you guys will bona fide farmers certify people who are home gardening, meaning that they just grow their own vegetables or whatever, not necessarily that
Yes,
they
sir.
sell it out there or whatever. Okay, that's cool. And this is up to $5,000 a year for up to 3 years for home gardeners, and then for what'd you say, the bigger farmers, it's 10,000 a year for up to how many?
For 10,000 a year for organizations and NGOs, for a maximum of 3 years. For individuals, they can be large scale farmers, ranchers, producers. They may apply for a maximum of 5,000 per year for 3 years.
But it doesn't mean your project needs to be for 3 years. It could be a 1-year project that you're looking at, or even a 2-year project. And you have to be detailed with what you want to accomplish each of those years. You have a timeline, you have a budget of what you want to spend. Tell us how you're going to spend that money. You can't just say, I'm going to spend, or I want $5,000. I'm going to buy soil. Well, what are you going to do with that soil? How are you going to be applying it? And what purpose is it going to serve? Like, what's your outcome?
And then what's the timeline on the awarding of the grants?
I think we're giving 90 days to the reviewers to review, but then that,
yes, sir.
We're also banking on that they'll have not over inundated with 5,000 applications to review in 90 days.
Right.
But that's our reasonable estimate right now, is 90 days to review and then award the selected projects.
I know Bree's done here, but last question are you done?
Yeah, I'm done.
For PCOR 3, I know that you guys weren't allowing in traffic, and I know a lot of people would like to go up to the Mangilao offices up there, Department of Ag, and get like whatever kind of sprouts you guys got. You know what I'm saying? So now that it's PCOR 3, are you entertaining people to come and pick up stuff? And if so, what do you got?
We've had people coming in during PCOR 2.
Okay.
They actually have been seeing a lot of the stuff that's been growing in our nursery. Our nursery is, like we said it would, has been totally expanding and branching out in the different things that are available. I think right now Chris has blueberries that are just breaking soil. He's got strawberry plants, date trees, bay leaves, dragon fruit, papayas. I want to say he has some
did you say strawberries? I thought you said strawberries.
Yeah.
And blueberries.
I did say strawberries and blueberries.
So where do you grow the strawberries?
Tangerine, lemonchina.
Wow.
It's popping up here.
I feel like a
Our
weekly
nursery
segment.
guy is doing an outstanding job. He really is. And he's doing exactly what we were hoping he would. He's put his love of plants into the nursery.
But no chronic,
and
right?
just extracted everything.
No.
I'm sorry.
You don't got any chronic? Okay.
I'll
You know,
lick his
technically,
ears,
though,
Chelsea. I'll lick his ears.
Technically, the nursery is not federally funded, so
So you could have the chronic, right? I'll bring you some. I'll bring you some.
You'd be surprised. He talks about everything with genetics, with what is it, grafting and tissue culturing. He's been talking with USDA about bringing in different tissue culture samples of varieties of breadfruit. He's got different varieties of moringa. I didn't even know there was more than one variety of moringa. it's just, people really need to, they'll be fascinated when they come up and take a look.
Wow.
Sounds like we're going to be heading over there for a link on location,
Yeah,
Chris.
I like
All
this.
right.
We should get you guys on, Chelsea. Maybe let's set something up for like every other week. You guys come on and we'll do this little.
Or even go there.
Yeah.
I think it'd be great to go there.
It's fun to go there.
He's got.
It's fun to go there when
do
you.
a nursery tour. We do digital nursery tours. We already did it.
Yeah.
So cute.
Christine want to bring us out to the ground zero of the fire. Remember when we did that?
We're gonna have all the time. More roadside observations.
Bring your own broom. You bring your own. What do you call it again?
Flapper.
Flapper.
The flapper.
Slapper or flapper?
Well, lots of great things over there, Chelsea. Thank you so much for bringing everybody on. We're gonna have to.
We're happy to.
We're gonna have to pay you guys a visit.
Right on.
And see everything.
Oh,
firsthand.
please do. You'll love it. It's great being up here.
We'll do it right around when the strawberries are ready.
Okay.
Okay. Good to see you guys.
All right,
Thank you,
take care.
Frank. Thank you, Christine. Shoot, Jathan. Thank you, Chelsea.
Bye.
What? I just had to ask if they had the chronic.
Okay, we get it. Strawberries are your favorite. All right.
But I'm just wondering because in the Philippines they have to grow it in like the cold climate in Baguio, right? So I'm wondering what kind of strawberry is it, and where do we have the cold climate on Guam?
I gotta see that.
Like Menengan, I
That
guess?
is interesting.
Yeah.
Cold climate in Menengan.
Well, you know, because it's in the valley. Yeah. Wow, that sounds like almost like a miracle, right?
For strawberries?
She said that they just put it in, so maybe we like wait a little while, right?
Oh well, she said that it's popping. We could go see what else they got going.
Yeah, I love going to the nursery, man. Those guys are cool.
Yeah.
Thank you. It's 9:58. We've got a whole bunch of stuff happening with KUAM News and Jason Solis in the Zoom, so we're actually going to go. Bree, good job today.
Good job, Chris.
Good job, Joe, sir. Some of the takeaways?
Matapang.
Right. So we're going to have a Baywatch in Tumon. The governor, our former governor, Carl Gutierrez, who's now the president of GBB, said that he's got some renderings and what they're going to do at Matapang Beach. They're going to do a whole
renovation.
Right.
Make some improvements.
Not just for the tourists, he said, also for the locals. But one of the key things that they're going to do there is they're going to build like a jet ski launch so that the fire department can have like some personnel, I guess, stationed down there. And then
Are jet skis allowed in Tumon?
Well, I mean, if you're the fire department, probably.
Oh, yeah. For the fire department, yeah.
But not in EPO. I've never seen one in EPO.
Yeah, me neither.
So.
I don't think so.
And then did he say there was going to be like a barracks or like a little, kiosk for GFD?
Yeah, he said something about GFD. But, I mean, they already got the renderings. So
Right.
I can't wait to see.
There you
Because
go.
that's due for some renovations.
I don't even go there because it's always too crowded.
Yeah,
I mean, even
well,
before the pandemic. But yeah, it's a very nice property. And hopefully when they renovate it, they get rid of that puddle you were talking about.
Right.
The forever puddle. Guys, coming up tomorrow on the show, we're going to get our... we have the speaker on every other week to kind of do an update on everything that's going on in the legislature and under her oversight. And there's a bunch of stuff going on. So we're getting her tomorrow. We'll also catch up with Ray Tapasna Agura. He's got a bunch of things going on, and then we'll get a status on the mortgage and relief, rent relief thing. And then, as always, our standing Wednesday with the Superintendent of Education, John Fernandez. And then we'll also be getting Senator Talina Nelson, who has oversight of the port and education. So it's good that she'll be coming on after the superintendent to kind of unpack some of the things that he said. And I believe there's also a DOE hearing this week. I want to say it's today. It's today. Right.
Yeah, there's a virtual information briefing with, like you said, Senator Talina Nelson.
There you
Committee
go.
on Education.
So it's 10 a.m., guys. We're KUAM FM, Agotni, Guam, on the Breeze 93.9, where your go-to jam is always coming up. Good job, Joe, sir. Jason Solis, good job. My name is Chris.
I'm Sabrina.
Esta. Adios.
Bye.